to allow certain employees to carry weapons with them into their office and with them while they're doing official county business. So I'm requesting that our code enforcement official and our building inspector actually be able to carry their weapon with them while they are doing work for the county. The two handouts you have there is an ordinance, like I said, established in 2016. Kind of that last third of the page on page 1 explains what the role is for the county commissioners. And then it is in this is page out of our employee handbook that Dottie gave us for, basically mimics what's in the ordinance as far as what the process is for that. They do have to get written approval from their department head, hold a valid current license, which are licenses even required in Indiana anymore? No. So basically that's null and void. I know they both do. Jeff Martin and Jay Sleeper, so they both have firearms licenses anyway. Jeff
And
is
it
actually...
says if applicable. And
It does?
here in this
Okay.
case, it's not applicable if it's not Indiana law
Okay,
anymore.
yeah, it does say applicable. And Jeff actually is a firearms dealer, so he's trained in all that. Successfully completed a firearm training program approved in advance of the application by the commissioners. So I don't know if we actually had a program. If the commissioners, when this was established in 2016, probably never established anything. They established the ordinance, but then never went through with establishing what that is. So that was kind of the discussion there, is what type of program should they be taking, or what type of education training do they need to have. And then it says, demonstrate the satisfaction of the commissioners the employees need to carry. So they basically have to, you got basically give your approval, but it's the training that I just want to make sure that we're not illegal with the ordinance on.
And I couldn't find an actual application to fill out to present to you guys. I could only find this resolution.
Oh, I said
HR
ordinance.
doesn't have one either.
What would the training, says here, completed firearms training program, who writes the program and says that's a proper program?
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
That's the question.
yeah. And I don't know if that's a question for like the sheriff's department, but they're not acting on behalf of as
Right.
like an officer. So is a sheriff program too much
Well,
training?
I'll tell you why that gets in a little hairy. State of Michigan, when they went to do a helmet law, the reason why they didn't do one on a motorcycle is the state had to define what a helmet was and who sets the safety standards for it. Does it need to be this? And they couldn't agree because they thought, well, if we say this helmet will protect you and we die, someone dies, we're liable.
Yeah.
So they just said, you know what, we'll ride your motorcycle without a helmet, go ahead. Same thing with gun training. Okay, we've trained them to this standard. What standard is that? Who certified it? So I think you need to outline what that training would be, who would give the training, what the course would be, and maybe an accredited or approved course somewhere.
But I think that's you guys that have to decide.
That's what I'm saying. We have
Yeah.
to define what that is, because otherwise just say, oh yeah, they've been trained. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, and I know there is training, I recall, that the sheriff's department or maybe the Auburn Police Department, there's certified instructors, I think, that either our sheriff's department or the City of Auburn Police Department have.
Yeah,
That
Auburn
can do
P-
certain
yeah.
basic trainings to certify somebody. I mean, that's a
Right.
possibility.
Right. I just think we need to find who gives the training and what standard it is.
Yep.
Yeah, both of those agencies have approved trainers.
Yeah, I think you'd have to give someone that's either licensed with the state or something, or to be as a firearm instruction trainer with a course that is
Certified.
followed,
Yeah.
certified by something, but yeah.
And do you need to put a time frame on it, like certified so within so many years, or once they're certified, they're certified?
I think once they take training, that's sufficient. This is going to be a concealed carry, not an open carry, right?
It's whatever you guys would want.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you why.
I
Someone comes onto my property with their sidearms visible and they're not wearing a law enforcement uniform, building inspector uniform is not something I would recommend. I want to see a marked car. If someone's showing their arm, I want to see an authority.
okay.
And I think you're asking for trouble if you call what's open carry. That's where you see the weapon
Yeah.
displayed because some people take that as a threat immediately.
That can be a trigger for sure.
I watch people come into bars and restaurants all the time, open carry, and I'm thinking, you're just asking for a problem. So I would make it to where it has to be
What bar are you
concealed.
going to?
You know, I've been to Munchies before, and people walk in open carry, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so I would recommend that we keep it as a concealed carry unless they're a uniformed officer.
Okay. Do you want me to call Sheriff Thomas and maybe the Auburn PD and
think it'd be a good
see
idea.
who's the police chief for Auburn?
Corey Heffelfinger.
Oh, that's right. I'll call those two and just see if they offer, like, I'm going to call it freelance for lack of a better term, freelance training, like if we would have Jason and Jeff. Because I know Auburn PD does like a once a year training for anyone that wants to do it, but I don't know if that's like a certified training.
I know the
or-
Auburn PD helped out community corrections on training,
Okay.
so
So
maybe they
would
could
Jeff,
use.
would Jeff have already had to have something if he deals in them?
No,
No? Okay.
I'm not saying he hasn't taken, but it's not required for an FFL.
Okay. Okay, I'll look into that and see. Does the resolution need to be revised, do you think? I mean, not that I think this has been going on since 2016, and I'm probably the first that's ever requested it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
So it's probably not that big of a deal, but
I think the resolution's fine, but I
Okay.
think in the handbook where it discusses for those maybe that carry firearms, that it must be concealed unless they're a uniformed officer.
Yeah, maybe define the training.
Yeah, and define the
Requirement.
training the resolution I think is good, but I think the rule, the procedure needs to be followed in the handbook, employee handbook.
And do you want
like application.
filled out with who, for what, XYZ, or are you okay with just like Chris coming and,
I really think the department head brings it to us.
But it should be in writing according to the resolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll,
Could be like a letter.
Well,
just
Could be a letter or
one,
something.
two sentence letter. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm.
I'll do that for the next meeting, and then I'll hopefully have answers for you on that training. And
And who has
If
what
it
training,
costs
and
or
who
who
has
does
what
it.
training so far?
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Another question is, does it affect our insurance any? And I wouldn't think it would, just because we are an open carry state, but send someone to someone's house in a possible conflict
question.
area with a weapon, it's just something to think about.
You want me to reach out to Kyle Pearson and ask?
Might not be a bad idea, just
Yeah.
to make sure, just say, hey.
Okay. I'll
Have
shoot
some
him an email.
plainclothes people that'll concealed carry, not open carry. Is the key there.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, anything else, Chris?
No, that's all I got.
Okay.
That second page you don't need. I don't know, Susan, there were two resolutions in there. One was for a tax sale.
Oh, I saw that. I was like, how
yeah,
does this fit
I
into
know,
that?
I noticed that. I'm like, I don't even know.
I
what
just
this
printed
is.
whatever Susan sent me, and that was attached to it, so.
Listen,
don't
I
need
have
it.
no idea where
I
it came
know.
from.
There's a lot of stuff in there that's still out of sequence, so. All right, well, we'll be back
11 or no?
in a couple weeks. What day is that?
25th.
25th, I'll be here.
No, you'll be here at 11:15.
On the 25th?
No, today.
Yes, I'll be back. Two things for you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, wait a minute. Aren't you coming at 9?
Was it 9 o'clock?
Well,
The updated
The girls have you
ordinance for the
down-
change of.
Oh, I'm here, yes, I'm here for you 3 times today.
Oh,
You guys are lucky. Yeah, I haven't checked my calendar yet, so.
I guess that is there. I thought that was
Yeah.
this.
it's
Oh, this
different.
UDO stuff, okay.
Have a good day, Dottie.
See ya, have a good one.
I'm here at 9 and then 11:15.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get me down for 9.
Yes, that's what I just said.
I think if you present it 3 times, you get a stipend, don't you? In one day?
Oh, my.
You get to keep his job.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. We got a little time here. Let's jump over and do payroll.
I move to approve payroll.
I'll second.
All right, motion second to approve payroll. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Payroll is approved. Claims, get a chance to go through those claims.
Yep. Make a motion to approve claims?
Second.
Motion and second to approve claims. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Claims are approved. Minutes.
Read the minutes and make a motion to approve those.
Well, we're on a roll. I'll second that too.
Hey, we just are rolling along. Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the minutes. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, the same. Minutes are approved. Good job, Susan.
Thank you.
I looked and looked and looked. I couldn't find nothing wrong. Back. Application for use of courthouse lawn.
So the Bowen Center, which I think they've requested this before, they want to plant a pinwheel garden for child abuse awareness, along with 1 to 2 signs that would be displayed with them for the month of April. They are requesting the 7th Street entrance side or wherever you deem appropriate.
What do you think, gentlemen? Is that when they say plant? Is that in a planter or is they going to dig up?
No,
No, they want those
Those
little,
are just those little whirly-gig things that
Is that
spin in the wind and
They just-
they're on a little stick is all. They just stick them
want
in
to
the
poke them
ground.
in.
What do you think?
I'm certainly okay with it.
You know, I think they do great work. We've kind of restricted the courthouse lawn to be, I think we have a beautiful building here that's maintained perfectly and it has a certain look and it's a place to do business and be impartial and be this and be that. And we've told people they can't use the lawn. Start putting pinwheels and this out there for a good cause and then the KKK wants to put something out there. How do you really say yes to one, no to, and I know that's two different, I'm doing extremes here, but
But I don't think you have any justification to say no to one viewpoint
Yeah.
and yes to another is the problem.
I have no problem with them, just so, you know, but I'd like our look of our courthouse to maintain the consistent look all the time and not be a sounding point for any group. They have free use of the sidewalk, of course you can't put pinwheels in the concrete. I just think we have such a beautiful building and it should just look the same all the time and reflect the same equality for everyone all the time. And I just hate to use the lawn for anything. My personal opinion.
I believe that exact reasoning of saying yes to one and no to another was why the last time they asked it was.
I just remember that.
I think,
We
because I
did.
think
They
you
asked
all
about
were
it
like,
last
oh
week.
yeah, that's a really good idea and we agree with it, but then There's the other side of it that you have to be able to.
You know, we do like the lights for the veterans, but that's a light bulb that doesn't really, and it's for.
Yeah, that's
it's our-
not really a display.
It's for our veterans department, which is part of the county.
I would say that's part of a county.
So I just think the
Department.
courthouse itself ought to be segregated, is just be this place of purity, this place of consistency and, you know,
When the lights, those are a permanent fixture.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
It's
saying.
changing
And it was our
color.
event,
Right.
you know. or
It's
the
not
county's
something that's
event,
added to the landscaping.
Yeah, but they do great work. I just think you're opening a can of worms to allow this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think out of just an abundance of caution, you're probably correct about that.
Yeah, and I hate that because they do
Yeah.
good things. But
Well, I mean, they could, if the city would okay it, they could get buckets of sand and stick them out along the sidewalk in the bucket of sand. Something
I
like, or
mentioned
some
that.
kind of a way to
mention-
display them, but, you know, and
my,
that's,
my
I
ADD
don't
too, I'd look at a pinwheel and run into a car, you know?
For Todd's safety, we can't do
No
it.
pinwheels.
leave it there to
shiny
Todd.
object.
Yeah.
I might mention that to Carla about
I'd be against it for
in
those.
buckets, but, and they did one for Y last year and a couple other places too, so.
I think, you know, I think places like the Y are a perfect place for that due to the Wise and outreach ministry for that type of thing, or any private business that wants to sponsor that, but I think we need to stay pretty much consistent as just being the courthouse here.
Yeah. Reluctantly agree. Kind of consensus sounds unanimous. So
I will let them know.
we will decline.
But we like their work, tell them.
Yes, we do.
Okay. We got 2 minutes. Can we get through this next one?
It's super easy. The Pokabashi Trail, I was asked to be their fiscal agent. Basically, I'm like their treasurer. So in order to do that, the monies that they bill out to whomever
Yeah.
come to DeKalb County. I need a fund to be able to put it in so that I can do the business. So this is literally just setting up the fund so that I can put money in it and
I was
disperse
good
when
with
needed.
it, I read it. Didn't see any problem with it.
Seemed pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
You're straight.
you read it well, Andrew, too, and
Yeah, she sent it to me for my review, and I'm fine with it.
I'll let you
And
make-
he's also read
no, you
the,
make the motion this time.
agreement.
I'm motion.
Well, I'm a member.
Oh, that's right,
I'm
you
a member of
can't.
the
Well,
task
you
force,
could,
so I'll
but-
let you go ahead and make the motion.
So it's for this to be adoption of this ordinance, and you need a motion for that, right?
there's 3 readings, so we need first, and then if you want to do it all in one meeting, then you pass.
Oh, okay, all right.
Waive the requirements and then do the second and third.
Well, my first motion would be to adopt ordinance 2024-03. Fund, restricted fund for the Pokabachi Trail,
First reading.
Yep.
first reading.
Andrew, should I be abstaining on this as a member of the task force?
My gut feeling on that is you do not have to abstain because it's not inuring to your benefit. You don't get any pay for being on that. Then I don't see any personal benefit to you on that from the financial standpoint, so I'm going to say I would approve you voting on it.
All right, in that case, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there additional comments from the commissioners or the public? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, Chris, you're back up. Mics are on now, I think.
Okay, real quick, are you gonna do the waiving?
Oh, yeah.
Real quick,
Do
and
we
then
wanna-
the second and
We want to
third?
go ahead
You
and do
go
the
ahead and do
waive. Yeah. So can we go back to that then?
Yeah, we'd have a motion to waive the,
Yeah, go back. I'd make a motion to suspend the rules and to approve on, second and third reading today.
And I will second that.
motion and second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying
I
aye.
don't need it.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously, so we can do second and third reading.
Yep,
Make a motion that we pass ordinance 2024-03 on second, and third reading.
Second that.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you for reminding us, Susan, or we would have been doing this in 2 weeks.
Susan's good at sending you your reminders, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris.
All righty. I have two UDO amendments today. The first one is to our definition standards for accessory buildings or structures. And basically the intent of this at the beginning was to add what would be exempt from being an accessory structure. So an accessory structure is accessory to the primary structure. Typically, the primary structure is going to be the main house or the main commercial building, industrial building, things like that. Sometimes the primary structure too could also be if someone has just a personal storage building on their property. If they live in town but farm out in the county, they might have their tractors and seeders and all that stuff in an accessory building, but it's considered the primary structure. Nonetheless, with that came some additional changes, so I'll just go through those. Typically, I would highlight this. I didn't today. I don't know why. Probably just forgot. Nonetheless, we'll go through the first one for accessory buildings or structures. The fourth bullet down is located in the same parcel or lot and zoning district. Basically, just cleaning up what they determined as a zoning lot. Nowhere in the ordinance do we define a zoning lot. Typically, it's going to be a parcel or a piece of people's property and zoning district. Next one is conforms to the setback, the height. I removed bulk and lot coverage because we don't have a definition for what is bulk, and lot coverage is typically going to be the same as the impervious surface coverage. Impervious surface coverage is defined, lot coverage is not. So I just wanted to clean up the language there as well. And adding other development standards or requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance unless otherwise provided for. Left in there everything about the construction of the primary structure unless used for agriculture. We changed that a while ago. Something that often comes up, we get asked, can people have, or can I have a kitchen or a bathroom facility in my accessory building, barn? Typically, it's going to be for the farmers whose wives do not want them coming in all muddy and or they have farm hands as well that help them out and need a place to warm up their food or need a little kitchen facility. So adding in there, and we didn't have anything. So we would always say, as long as there was no bedroom, we're really okay with it, and as long as you get permission from the health department. So we added this in there, that it's not designed for human occupancy as a dwelling or commercial use, but may have a bathroom, kitchen, sink, or other facilities needed for sanitary purposes, so long as there is health department approval. In the case of a private/commercial telecommunication tower, antenna or other cellular communication or equipment, the tower, antenna, or other radio or cellular communications or equipment shall be set back equal to the height of the tower. That's one thing that we changed thanks to Bill. Bill's catch on that during our plan commission meeting. Initially, we were exempt. The proposal was to exempt the tower itself from being set back from the property line, but those private telecommunication towers aren't designed to fall in on themselves like a commercial telecommunication tower. So we added to have the setback be the height of the tower. So I kind of did for example there, that if the tower is 50 feet tall, it shall be set back, and I forgot a B in front of the E. I'll have to reprint this for you, Susan, I'm sorry. Shall be set back 50 feet from the property line. So again, if the tower is 100 feet, it have to be set back 100 feet. And like I said, those aren't designed to fall in on themselves, so they're gonna
What do you mean by falling on themselves then?
So the commercial one, the ones that are 199 feet tall, are designed to cave in on themselves.
Really?
Versus toppling. That's what they say. I mean, I gotta trust the engineer on that.
What about the ones that are 1,200 foot tall hooked by guy wires? They,
Designed to fall in on themselves.
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The only
It must
thing
be
is, as soon
engineered
as those
to
start to
break.
collapse, they
Yeah.
could go one way or the other, a certain degree, because that guy wire
Right.
loosens.
Yeah. Yeah.
as they start to
They could,
collapse.
yeah, they could fall a little bit one way or the other,
Yeah,
but they're
they're-
designed to not take out 199 feet of
Well, if they
whatever.
design them
extra-
not to fall, that'd be better.
Right? Right? That'd be better.
All right. That makes sense.
So we changed that, adding in also that the subordinate structure, which is typically considered a cabinet that houses the guts of the tower, shall be set back. Sorry. The subordinate structure typically considered the cabinet, of which is incidental and accessory to that of the principal private or non-commercial telecommunication tower, and then again, shall be considered an accessory structure. So that would have to be set back like 10 feet from the property line. Typically, those, though, are right next to the tower. They're not going to be anywhere else.
How does any of this differentiate between a commercial tower? Is their setbacks completely different from
Yep.
commercial?
Yep, so commercial towers they're designed to fall in on themselves, and I can look at the ordinance for you or email you about that
Okay,
later.
but they have their own
Yep,
setback
we have
that-
our own
Okay.
standards for
I just wanna
telecommunication
make sure
towers.
this
Yep,
is-
this is only for, and this is only
Non-commercial.
for non-commercial, yeah.
Gotcha.
And then finally, the exemptions that this whole thing started from. We often get people asking about their dog runs, their chicken coops. I've got a movable pool. I've got
Yeah.
flagpoles or water features that people, you might have I'm saying like from Menards or Home Depot, but some people have real extravagant waterfalls that lead to, something. That was the intent with this, that flagpoles, freestanding chicken coops, animal cages or runs, lawn arts or lawn statues, outdoor kitchens for single-family homes that don't include a covered structure, water features such as fountains, small fish ponds, or others that aren't defined or meet the standards for a recreational pond, or other similar items as deemed exempt by the zoning administrator is not specifically defined in the Unified Development Ordinance. So allowing kind of those non-permanent structures to not required to be set back. So that's that one. I will revise. Susan, if you want to email me, or you've got the Word document though, don't you?
Already changed it.
You're the best. You're the best.
When you say non-permanent, is that not on a foundation? Is that what defines non-permanent?
Not on a foundation, or isn't designed to not easily move. So typically those freestanding chicken coops sometimes are on wheels. Like those dog cages or dog runs might be attached to the accessory structure that might impede within an accessory structure's 10 feet off. The dog cage might be 5 feet, those sort of things that aren't permanently affixed to the ground.
What about a shed?
A shed so a shed over 300 square feet, I think, has to be affixed to the ground permanently.
Okay.
And then if it's not, it doesn't require a building permit, but does require improvement location permit. So those do have to be, but, yeah.
300 foot. I thought it was 200. I think you might be right. 300.
300 square feet, yeah, we changed that.
Pretty good size
Well,
for a shed.
Yeah. It used to be,
20 by 30.
our building permit size and our ILP size used to be different square footages, so we changed that maybe a year ago or so, but
It's early. It's a time change.
Yeah.
screwing you up.
The only problem I see is unless someone does like a giant American flag like at Glenbrook Dodge, the thing comes down and
That could be
across the car,
that
but
could be dangerous.
I don't think we're going to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
it's not-
So if everyone's okay with this, just need a motion for this to get approved, and then I can get it, Susan can get it signed by you guys, I'll get it recorded.
Motion?
What's our ordinance number?
2024 R2, UDO 90.
Okay, I'll move for approval of resolution 2024-R-2.
This required the 3 readings too.
Should be just one.
I don't think so because it's not,
Yeah,
No money?
no money to.
no.
No money. Okay. All right.
Is this the new printed one we're gonna sign?
No, I have the good one.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? Commissioners or the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries.
I did forget to add, but that one did get a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission to the commissioners. I know you got the thing, but just for the record. The next one will take a little bit of time to go through. It's for our non-conforming uses and structures. We'll go through some definition additions and changes, and then go through Article 11. The majority of it is at the front. There's not many changes after that, but I did include the whole section of that ordinance so you could read it if you wanted to. Non-conforming uses, structures, they are typically when you change an ordinance or change part of your ordinance that changes how properties may be zoned. So if DeKalb County, we have 24 zoning districts. If at some point in time we go down to 20, some of those uses might become non-conforming because of setback changes, potential use changes, things like that. So just that's kind of what you're thinking of when you think of non-conforming. People often say grandfathered. I'm not sure why, but planning and zoning, people don't love the word grandfathered because it makes people think that then it can always be there. And typically there's a section in here about when you lose a non-conforming status. We'll go through all that, but for us, I'm okay using the term grandfathered, even though it's not in the ordinance. One thing that we have often got asked is, we have in here that the use has been abandoned, but we don't define what that means. We've had people say, well, I pay my utility bills, I maintain the yard, but that doesn't define what your use is. There's property out east of Auburn that's in the county's zoning district that was an old gas station, I believe. Is that what it was? And they've converted it to a single-family house. I'm trying to think, this has been a long time ago, but this is a good example, is that somebody will come and say, well, I want to buy it to still live in it, but the zoning isn't the same, but it's been lived in 2 years ago. Well, it lost its legal non-conforming status because the use was abandoned. But they wanted to say, well, but I pay my utility bills, I maintain the yard, I keep the house looking nice. It's still, but the use of the property hasn't been there. So we added a definition of what the abandonment of use is. That was long-winded for getting to one definition. And we have that the use has not been occupied by residing in, doing businesses in, or what the intended use was by the time set in Article 8, which shall be considered abandoned. Proof of occupancy cannot be by proof of property or structure maintenance or utility bills. Payment of taxes or similar. The zoning administrator shall determine if there has been abandonment. So again, giving some hard lines on what is considered abandoned versus just it being there.
And then isn't that under 8.03A2, and I know you get to this in the
Correct.
future, but it's a year, I think.
Right.
isn't it?
Right.
A year of abandonment, basically. So that if they're leaving it for 30 days or something, or going
Yeah, I'll
on an
have to
extended
look.
vacation. I was looking at 8.03A2,
Yep, there you go. Yep,
1 year.
1 year. Yeah,
For a period of
seems
at
pretty
least 1
reasonable
year.
to me.
yeah.
I mean, you could go as low maybe as 6 months, but that's cutting it a little low, and
Yeah.
2
And
or
it's-
3 years
we're-
is
we
maybe a
haven't-
little
we
long.
We didn't change any of that from when the original ordinance was written.
Was 1 year
So, yeah, it
already?
was 1
Okay.
year
Yep.
already. So we didn't change any of that, but that's good to point out, though. The other things in the definitions are the other definitions for our non-conforming, and the only thing we did was add unless otherwise noted in Article 8. So because we're getting into a little bit of some weeds on when a illegal non-conforming or legal conforming structure becomes legal. So a time frame that may not have been, well, we'll get to it. I'm going to get long-winded, I'm so sorry. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 definitions there that all that we're adding is unless otherwise noted in Article 8 at the end, and then the abandonment of use is anew. Not changing anything in 8.01 or 8.02. In 8.03, about halfway down, distinction between conforming, illegal, non-conforming, legal non-conforming, and then adding in and a change from illegal non-conforming to legal non-conforming to conforming. So the next paragraph down, basically what that means is we're going to determine when status changes from legal non-conforming to conforming. Nothing changes in A or B on that page. On the next page, on C, that's all underlined. This is when it gets into a little bit of the weeds. I'm sure I'll get wordy here. But the status of an illegal non-conforming to legal conforming structure and or use may change or become a conforming structure and or use if the structure has been in continual use or existence for 15 years. I'm going to get into the example. A parcel's been a small engine or lawnmower repair shop that may be an illegal non-conforming use, but shall become a legal conforming use if its use has been 15 years or older. We often get into somebody that started a small engine repair out of their garage. It doesn't get caught by any of us. That small engine or repair shop, somebody new moves in next door and says, hey, Bob is out here running a business, and that business has been in existence for 15 years. And he's like, I didn't know I needed to do anything. You know, there's a little bit of grace with people who've been doing business for quite some time. And instead of requiring them to go to the BZA, the Plan Commission agreed that having that become a legal use if it's 15 years or older. So basically, from the time that our new UDO has been established, we're getting on 15 years this coming January, that use is considered legal. If it's 14 and a half years, I'll have to go to the BZA.
How would you determine the business, retail merchant certificate through Indiana? Is that- okay.
So if it's a true business, they're going to have something like an EIN number or EIN or something.
But they'd have to have a license to operate from that business, or that location is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
They have to be on the license,
Right.
So Todd, are you asking, what if someone is just as a sole proprietor, not paying sales tax, not doing anything like that, sets up a, Lenny's small engine repair shop?
Right. If he doesn't have a business license, not a business to start with, that would be illegal to start with. If you're doing business without a
That's kind of
tax
what
ID,
you're asking there is, what happened in
what
that
defines a business? In other words, if I sell honey out my front yard as a private person,
Right.
a couple cans of it, is that considered a business?
That's considered a roadside stand.
Okay.
So that's,
All right.
yeah. Then you're getting into the roadside stand. This was more for people who actually this is their livelihood, more or less their livelihood, that they don't want to, or maybe make enough money to rent property or buy a commercial building, don't want that much space. It's just him and his son, or him by himself, or a wife, or whatever. But typically they are a business. I had this example come up 2 years ago, and they were just able to show me their tax certificates from 20 years ago, that they've been at this property for 20 years.
That would be my thing, is
Yeah.
what shows me you're a business that's
Yeah.
legal to do business here.
That's what I would do, is if you're a business, give me proof that you're the business. So they would have to provide that proof to us. We're not just going to take their word on it. They would have to provide that proof, but The next changes in here are, there's really nothing on the last 2 pages, except for, again, on 8.04 and 8.05, unless otherwise noted in Article 8, it should be an 8 there. Susan, you're gonna have to revise that for me too.
Mr.
Under 8.04, sorry. And then legal non-conforming structure, adding in there that for lots that are non-conforming lots that are 15 years or newer. Nothing on the next page that's changed. And on the last page, legal non-conforming use, the following provisions apply to legal non-conforming uses that are 15 years or newer. So basically those 3 ABC plus, they would apply to anything that's 15 years or newer.
What am I changing?
8.04, add an 8 to the end of 8.04, an illegal structure or use, blah, 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 unless otherwise noted.
Under 8.4, where do you want to add an 8?
At the very end of the sentence underneath 8.04.
Unless otherwise noted in this Article 8.
In this Article 8, okay, you're just saying in this.
Oh,
It
I
says
guess it
this
doesn't,
article, which
I guess
is
it really
eight.
doesn't need it, does it?
Yeah, no, because
Because it's within this article.
In the
Yeah,
article.
that's
Okay.
why I was saying, why do you
Hey,
want to
never
have
mind,
an 8
Susan.
there?
I knew I
Okay.
was smart and got it.
You thought you were
We'll go
wrong,
with
but
it.
then you realized you were
I was
mistaken.
right.
That's right. I thought I was
That's the
wrong once,
best,
but I
that's the
was
best type to
mistaken.
have. So, again, that got into the weeds a little bit on non-conforming. It can be super confusing. This hopefully cleans up some of that confusion that can lead for non-conforming. We don't get very many of these, but it's always good that when we do we at least have black and white what's allowed and what's not. And again, this did also get a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission.
The only trouble I see here is using the term illegal. You're not supposed to do that anymore. It needs to be an undocumented, non-conforming structure.
I'll add that next, hey, I'll be back next month.
Okay.
Okay. Good with this?
I don't see any problem with this. So
Luckily,
you
guys
need
don't have to
you need a
enforce it.
motion to approve this then, don't you?
Yes, please.
So I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2024 R1 pertaining to UDO 89.
And I will second.
A motion and second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? Yes, sir.
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75. I just have a question on, as far as the abandonment issue, what happens if it's like a rented property? Say you couldn't rent to someone for a year, like you just couldn't get a tenant in. Do they lose that use if it's,
Only if it's not zoned correctly.
Okay.
So if it's in a residential or agricultural zone, they're fine.
okay,
And it allows a house, they're fine. If it's like in a commercial, like our C2, C3 that doesn't allow any residential, but it's been a house and that use would be considered abandoned.
okay.
And that's typically going to happen when what caught this was trying to sell the property and they were trying to get the mortgage, but then they were doing the appraisal on it. Or not the appraisal. What's the other guy? When you sell a house, you do like 3 things. They check
Disclosure.
title search.
Title search.
They make sure that the use is allowed, that there's no code violations or things like that. So if it's on a commercial building and I see that it's a single-family house, I would let them know that the use isn't allowed. So, but that's typically
I didn't even know that.
not
it
going to
would-
happen for residential.
Right, I didn't even know if it would happen. It just popped into my head. I'm thinking
Yeah.
people that have rental properties and whether they would be considered abandoned if they couldn't get a renter in for the space of a year or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So even though, they've
And
been using it for that.
most of those rentals are going to be on properties that allow single-family homes.
I just wondered.
Yep. Good question.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, opposed the same. Motion carries.
reading of that.
Yep.
Lines or.
Are you going on any vacations? Are you done with Florida?
Forever. Never going back.
That's
You got
a
the redneck
lie.
thing going too, huh? Did you get a little sun?
Well, I was outside this weekend, but I think the wind and
It
the
got
sun.
ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Shall we see you next time?
I'll be back in 11 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a few minutes here. Let's jump over on this number 9 disbursement highway building project. I think it was 600 and some thousand
Yeah, that's just the next
payout.
payout that I have you guys do a separate approval for.
I'll move to approve the highway building project disbursement number 9.
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Anything slowing that down?
Get a chance to read the DART vehicle applications.
I think I had a couple of questions on that, whenever you
sir.
would be open to that. Okay. This looks like it was part of like a federal grant program? Probably connected with those particular types of vehicles?
Yeah.
So it's not like you had to go to the open market and look for Dodge versus Ford versus Nissan
Right,
or something like that?
Correct.
Okay. And I assume it's the Council on Aging that's paying the match, not necessarily the county, out of their budget? Because there's like a $21,000 match or something.
So it depends on how they've set their budget up. Sometimes, yes, it's all gonna come from them.
Okay.
Whether they use their grant funds that they're getting for the match, or if they use the money that they get each year from the commissioners, that's all how they want to do it.
But they're paying for it, not necessarily out of the county budget for the match.
Correct. We are only the pass-through entity for
That's what
their
I thought.
grants.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not a separate expense that we'd have to
correct.
figure out what we're going to pay it out of. It's,
And then if it's out of their budget, that would have already been approved by the county council as part of their budget, potentially. Or an extra
Well, their
expense or
budget
something.
doesn't actually go through the county.
Okay.
They come to the commissioners to request approval to submit their grants.
Okay.
And they bring their budget to the commissioners so they
But
can
it's
see what it
not
is, but the
necessarily-
council doesn't actually
Does you
have
do
to
it?
approve that
Okay,
part.
those are my
Yeah.
questions. I'm cool with it then beyond that.
Then we give them money every year as a.
Yeah, I don't remember now, but
For their
I think it's
services.
around there.
Yep.
Yeah, for the-
Okay, those were my
As a
questions.
county
I'm okay with
service,
it.
That's our contribution as commissioners.
just, we're going to blow the whole shot
Yeah.
right here,
Yeah, yeah.
the whole wad.
And
Looks
those, the reason why they don't go to market on those type of vehicles, they're specially built, 22 seats or a wheelchair here or something. It'd be hard to go out and shop one against the other unless you had different builders build
Next to
them.
impossible.
Yeah, just
You
one.
know, and they kind of know that when you look at the price tag.
Oh, sure they do.
On that 450,
Yeah.
190,000, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Thanks. I'm fine with it then from the legal standpoint.
in that case, I'll move that we approve the vehicle purchase agreement for DART.
And I'll second.
motion and second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Blue. All right. Okay, moving on. Anton, You are up, sir. Mic on? There you go.
Is now, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. No problem.
Good morning, Commissioners. Anton King, DeKalb County Economic Development Partnership. Here this morning, one, to provide an organizational update for you and answer any questions you may have. And secondly, to present the 2024 fee-for-service agreement that's been put before you. No changes to said agreement, same amount as last year and same terms of service, if you will. I'm happy to go into detail on that contract if you'd like. But in short, it is to provide, services and assistance to the municipal corporations within DeKalb County to promote commercial, industrial, and civic development through said county. Your last page of the scope of services there highlights, business development services, community development, marketing, data utilization, dissemination, community planning, that we utilize the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnerships for marketing and also lead assistance and also overall community general communication on economic development matters. But if I may go into highlighting some 2022 metrics and then provide a kind of an overview of what we're looking at in 2024. Throughout last year, we embarked on two key initiatives, being the DeKalb County Housing Strategy and also the broadband initiative, and we've seen great progress in both of those programs. First off, in the housing strategy, of which you may remember the county participated in helping us fund the countywide housing strategy for what those housing market potential would be. We've handed those off, if you will, to individual communities, and also have marketed those out to a number of developers. And in the last probably year and a half, we've seen a tremendous amount of interest and activity in that. Altogether, just in conversation or what's being currently proposed in a number of municipalities, we're seeing northwards of almost 1,000 units in discussion, primarily between single-family residential and multifamily housing. And then we off of that, which, if you recall, the kind of the demand that we saw was about 5,000 homes over about a 5-year period. But we have gotten developers, both local and regional, and also statewide, that have shown interest in DeKalb County and adding to the residential infrastructure in our area. And through that, we've been able to tap into some different state funding programs to get that in front of the developers. That's for one instance, the Indiana Housing Infrastructure Assistance Program, which is a funding program that a municipality can tap into to basically apply for low interest loans to help build out infrastructure assistance. So there's a lot of different programs that through our housing strategy have kind of surfaced that resources we've been able to get in front of those communities and also the developers themselves. On the broadband side of things, with our the countywide broadband task force in partnership with the county, ourselves, and also SAND Strategies. I know Mr. Sand provides updates to the commissioners upon request from time to time, but as far as our involvement is figuring out where all the different communities are at from a broadband standpoint and understanding where the different providers that have interest in building out fiber solutions or fixed base wireless or some type of hybrid model, we've been able to can really help them get connected with the local municipalities and residents as it makes sense, through the challenge process of the FCC mapping, and also as they are pursuing those BEAD dollars through the state. and federal dollars. So that being said, to our knowledge, we have at least 4 different broadband providers that have quote unquote come to the table and have kind of shared their interest in investing into broadband services across DeKalb County. And with those companies that we've been made aware that are doing activity in the county, if you will, would include Lakeland Internet, Surf Internet, Metalink, and then Auburn Essential Services also doing some things here locally around the Auburn and Garrett area. So I say that, and with a lot of the federal programming and federal dollars that are out there, none of these things move fast, but we've been able to consistently keep a pulse on that and continue to share that information with those broadband providers, and also get those providers in front of the communities that they would serve from a fiber standpoint. Just to highlight, any questions up to that point on any of that information?
Where are we at with, I haven't heard a lot from Sand. Seems to me if on the broadband, if we're going to bring broadband to everyone, it'd be nice to drop fiber to our small towns. When I say small towns, Auburn already has fiber, so we're good there. What does Garrett have? Does anyone know what they have for fiber?
Fiber.
They have fiber there.
AES built out.
AES goes to Garrett?
Yep,
Okay.
correct.
But then we have fiber now in Butler dropped from Hamilton, right?
I know that there is fiber. There is fiber in Butler that I believe Frontier Communications has had there. But as far as other providers being there and can't get into the nitty gritty as far as if they can actually access said fiber or if they have to build out fiber to meet that. But there is fiber in Butler.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only reason I ask that, it seems like if we could get Corona covered with fiber somewhere up in that area, Butler, between St. Joe and Spencerville, and down at Huntertown, and then use whether it's the Tirana network or whatever to fill the gaps,
yeah.
until other community, and then bring fiber to them if needed. That seemed like the most cost-effective hybrid strategy I've seen.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to keep pushing on that, because we do have these ARPA funds that are going to need to be committed. And that, to me, if we use the resources we already have and get everyone to work together,
Yeah.
we could cover the whole county pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And through this task force piece that we've been working with Zach on, in that is communicating that to these broadband providers. So we want to prevent duplication of efforts. If one area is going to be built out by one company, okay, let's look at a different area. Because the fiber infrastructure is the fiber infrastructure, and as far as access off of that, then can be made available. So yeah, we've worked to make sure that there wasn't that kind of duplication of efforts. But I mean, as far as the kind of the bigger picture, big vision of that, I mean, I think it matches what you're articulating.
Because, we need a good fiber backhaul, if nothing else, for even like Tirana. I know they can backhaul wirelessly, but it's still much more efficient to backhaul through a fiber. Correct. So if you have some strategically positioned, and look at our small cities, if you really look at them, they surround the counties.
Yeah.
So you can fill the gap from within.
Yep.
Or from the outside, you can fill the gap.
Sure, absolutely.
And a lot of that's already happening.
Yeah.
Metalink's doing fiber on the west side. AES has already got fiber to Garrett, and a lot of the infrastructure in here already built out.
Yeah.
Surf has got Hamilton covered, and they're moving in a couple other directions coming south.
They have Waterloo possibly too.
Surf has Waterloo,
Yeah, sir.
yeah.
Yep, sir.
Reaching out to
Waterloo.
Meadows or something.
The question is, what can we do with our funds to help expedite the process?
No, that's a great question. On that point, the fiber companies are in the process as they apply for funding, as they kind of merge and blend all their different areas together, is to determine what that need is, what's the gap in that funding opportunity. So when they go after additional BEAD dollars and the next round of funding out there, they would be happy to come in here and present to you to present their plan.
But I'd like to
I
see.
think all of those providers have applied for NLC4
Right.
funding, which would be an ideal grant match.
That's what I was thinking. We got to do something though. And
Yeah, and then the BEAD dollars legislatively have to cover last mile.
right. Okay. Anyway.
So to move into, key activities of the organization, and then go into 2023 metrics, if you will. Continued key activities remain, business retention and expansion with our existing business and industry. There's been a number of expansion opportunities that we've underwent with, particularly just this year. Worked with Auburn Gear announced a $7 million expansion the first of this year, as they revamp a lot of their tooling and equipment in there. Metal Technologies announced a $32 million expansion and really reinvestment in their facility. So they're going to create some jobs, but also be able to retain the 300 plus employees they have here in the Auburn market. Those are just two projects that have industrial wise just this year. So I believe WFFT may have put an article out on Walmart distribution centers project. So we've been working with them for a number of months, and in advance of that, to make that project happen here. So I think the actual details of that project will be yet to be narrowed down, but we estimate that to be north of a $600 million investment in the Garrett Industrial Park as they expand, essentially duplicate the size of their business there and add some additional employment. So we've had a number of BR&E type projects that have come out, and we're seeing companies reinvest in their facilities here. So that's a good sign to see. From the business recruitment and attraction aspect, really industry clusters as far as what we've tend to go after or focus on based on DeKalb County and our history, and with talking with numerous community leaders for their communities. Those industry clusters are advanced manufacturing, distribution and logistics, ag tech, business HQ and corporate, and then the commercial and type service businesses that are deemed value add or quality of life enhancements in the number of communities. So it's kind of the 5 core sectors of industry clusters that we go after when we do receive leads. As I mentioned, on the community development side, housing, broadband initiative, infrastructure assistance and planning, continued quality of place, and newly sought after program is known as the Stellar Pillars, which a few of you may have heard me talk about Stellar Pillars in the past. It is a Okra initiative, but this year, historically speaking, it was Stellar Communities. So an individual community, for instance, like Auburn has applied in the past, Angola, and others. This year, it is a countywide initiative that is being dubbed as basically a regional application. When I hear regional, I always think, Northeast Indiana, or as the greater region of Northeast Indiana, but Okra is defining regions as a county this time around. And so we, members of the DCDP board, were able to attend a workshop to go through what Stellar looks like and what opportunities are presented with Stellar. Brief summary for you on Stellar is it's upwards of an $8 million funding that can be brought in on a number of projects that meet Okra's direction, if you will, on what they're looking for. And it really drives down to quality of place within DeKalb County. It's a highly competitive grant. There will be 2 awardees across the state. We have until May 1st to submit a letter of intent to apply for, but attending that workshop was a prerequisite of that program. And so with that, the DCDP board has a subcommittee of the said board that's digging in to kind of decipher all this information. And once we have our heads truly wrapped around that, we will be reaching out to all the municipal bodies across DeKalb County to summarize that program for everyone so that there's understanding and knowledge, and that if they should have interest in partnering on this countywide application, that we would like their partnership in that process. In that, again, I said $8 million of funding. It's through the basically there's I believe it's $4 million of community development block grant CBDG funds that's provided by Okra, and then an additional $4 that's met through matching programs through the different acronym type organizations, right? Indiana Department of Resources, NDOT, the Indiana Housing Community Development Authority, and a few other programs. But
You have your 85-page acronym book, remember, that you're supposed to have?
yeah. I don't have that with me, but I do have that. Yes. So in short, there are dollars made available to Okra, Stellar Pathways recipients, and in all honesty, we want to go through the process, obviously, to get set awarded funding, but just going through the process allows all the communities to have sort of a unified understanding of, where do communities need to be from is it countywide visioning or a strategic plan from the communities to be able to go through that process. And they're a big advocate of not just having a strategic plan, going through the process and setting it on the shelf so it sits. These are attainable goals that communities can tap into and kind of say, well, what do we want to be when we grow up type activity. And so that being said, we're early into it, but once the subcommittee is able to debrief and discuss, we'll put together some information to disperse that out to all the municipalities and answer any and all questions that we're able to. But our hope is that we can apply in partnership with DeKalb County and the municipalities to secure funding to help support projects that we already may have going, or projects that may come to light through going through this stellar process. So that's a pretty big program. I know a lot of our neighboring communities and counties are pursuing this. Stouffville, New Bend, LaGrange in our area. Allen County is actually not able to, given their deemed entitled community based on Okra standards there, but all the rural communities are going to go after this program. So it's a chance for DeKalb County to be able to put our plans together and put a good application in. To highlight 2023 metrics for you, finally, before I get into the contract itself. 2023, we saw 29 project wins, which was $81.1 million of private investment. The projects that we worked with our communities on public investment include $24 million of public investment. Through those 29 project wins, 106 new jobs were created. And on those projects, over 1,991 jobs were retained through the BR&E efforts. In that, $5.9 million of new payroll was added as a result of those new jobs created, and basically $132,000 in seeded or lighted funds were created as a result of those new jobs added. In those seeded funds, specifically to DeKalb County in that process. With that, we also did have 11 closures or project losses, which I'm saying closure as far as businesses, obviously, that have, shut their doors or let and ceased operations, or projects that we had submitted on, been through a process, and then were determined that DeKalb County was not going to be the final destination of said project. We did receive 87 leads last year, 82 of those of which we did submit, and all in all participated in 62 community meetings as an organization across DeKalb County. The last piece I'll touch on before I just open up the general discussion for you was we have went around and secured our 2024 fee-for-service agreements with all the municipalities. DeKalb County was the final stop, if you will, on that, but it did have received approvals on all our fee-for-service contracts, of which you can see in the attached really 2023, 2024 outline that was included in the contract itself. But with that, again, just highlight over the contract if you have any questions on it. Again, it's the same terms and language as last year. But again, the scope of services is included there for you, and for the sum of $105,000, deem you or pending you deem appropriate and support from the county for those services.
Okay,
That's including the 20 for the partnership again?
That is correct. That is included in that amount. It's I believe it's like 10 from the county, and then like Auburn and Garrett.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, but
20 total.
overall, we pay about $20,000 to the regional partnership every year.
Are we okay to discuss now, Bill? What's your plans? Sabrina left. We haven't replaced her. Tori's now going. What's your plans on, as far as your budget total, those two positions?
Correct.
Going away, do you plan on replacing them? Do you plan on hedging some money?
Sure.
In the short term to get the balance sheet up first? What's your plan?
Yeah. So my plan for that was we had to replace the project specialist position in April. That's what we had built that into the budget. So that position would be filled. And
That's
then
Sabrina's position?
correct. That was Serena's position prior to. And then with Tori's departure upcoming in the next month, I'd like to anticipate that hitting. Basically, what that does, it does free up some allotment in the budget overall. But through that, we'd be able to potentially bring on an additional 2 employees, one that could focus on business retention and expansion efforts solely, and then one that could bring in as a operations manager to handle a lot of the administrative work and a lot of the office organization and those types. So I actually believe through that process, I'll be able to come in under budget and add staff capacity overall with additional members to the team. So when fully staffed this year, anticipate a total of 4 total employees in the organization with a business retention and expansion focused individual, a project specialist, a operations manager, and then myself in that program. So that is my anticipation. Obviously, as the county makes up really a core third of our organizational budget. A lot of that plan depends on funding from the county and participation with the fee-for-service through that. So, hesitant to make any decision unless funds are obviously approved. But through that is the plan.
What's the other cities? Who's all paying into the
Sure.
DCDP other than the county?
Yes. So the other partnership organizations that are paying for fee-for-services include the City of Auburn, the City of Garrett, City of Butler, Town of Waterloo, the Town of Ashley, Town of Corona, Town of St. Joe, and the Town of Hamilton. Total that's contributed. Excellent question. I'm going to have to do some scratch math for you, but ballpark, it's about I can list out each individual number.
No, I don't need it, but
Just in total,
roughly.
including the county, it's roughly.
Take out the county.
Okay,
I just want to know what the smaller cities are
sure.
contributing.
Oh, I don't have my calculator.
Is it around 20 grand? I can't
It's
remember.
it's more than that
Is
now.
it?
So it's,
How much total?
232 total minus 105.
But that includes businesses too, don't it?
That is solely the private side.
So,
127
oh, wait a minute here. I'm hearing 232, 127.
minus ours. You wanted
232
without
minus
counting.
105 is 127.
So 127 coming from the
From the
city,
municipal-
other city,
From
other
the cities and towns, that is correct.
Okay,
That is correct.
okay. All right, so we got 100, you get 127,000 coming from other government entities of
Correct.
some sort.
Correct.
Okay, all right. If I can't remember at the last few meetings, if the financials weren't available, we were switching to QuickBooks.
Yeah,
or
we switched
something.
QuickBooks. We were not able to overview in February. It's correct.
Anything else for your, make a motion?
No, I think I sit on the board, so I have a little more information. Yeah.
Mike, anything?
No, I'm good.
Entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the fee-for-service agreement with DeKalb County Economic Development Partnership in the amount of $105,000.
And I will second.
A motion and a second. Are there any additional comments? Yes, sir?
Hi, Larry Williams, 2418 Woodland Trail. Yeah, just a comment. If you go to Gateway, and I've got the documentation here, you see that the county gave money to 6 different entities, and they gave $274,000. So the Economic Development Group gets $105,000, which is 38% of that total. Some of the other groups, Alliance Industries got $34,000. Children First, the parent for handicapped, got $34,000. DeKalb County Council on Aging got $48,000. The Humane Society got $50,000. Well, that's nice. And 4-H got $3,000. I would say that you're allocating a large amount of that portion of your budget to the Economic Development Corporation. As you know, I've spent a career working with economic development groups around the state. I would really encourage the commissioners to reconsider the prioritization of that $274,000 when they're making this decision. I do have a few things I can give to you, documentation of that if you want to see it. But right now, that's what I had to say.
Okay, I did see the numbers that you put out, yeah. So we're good.
Yeah, and a little comment there is, where the Humane Shelter, the 50,000, they pretty much control our animal population for us. We do have a responsibility there as a county to do that.
Right.
And that is a fee for service.
It's a fee for service.
Yeah, it's not a donation.
The idea behind economic development, because it's a tricky thing, it really is. The idea behind it is it's a point of contact for people coming into the county to be able to talk to someone without having to present to us or make their plans known, so they can say, hey, is this a fit? And it's also contribution for business owners that want to see the community grow and harmonious and organic growth, as I call it, okay?
Right.
And the reason why it's kind of needed right now, we have this grant process. I hate grants. I think it's a horrible way to do business, but it's the way, it's like tax abatements. I don't like them, but they're a tool that's available through economic development that we have to use. If we don't use it, someone else will use it. Well, the idea is it eventually needs changed completely.
Let's come back after break.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it is
Clean
great.
this
but-
up
Yeah,
then.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was,
That's okay.
I go on till noon.
It's time change.
Yeah, it is time change. It does mess you up. 1 hour, you wouldn't think it'd make a difference.
crank up a little bit early so we can finish up with Anton.
I'll finish my little speech if you don't mind, but, so, we have to fund, to give you an idea of one that you missed on there that we're required to fund would be Northeastern Center at $400,000.
Sure, yeah.
So we have, like I said, these tools that are used by economic development. One is, and it's very unpopular, but it's the law and it's the way we get things done, unfortunately. It's tax abatements. And DCEDP is very good at understanding how to navigate TIF districts and tax abatements to the advantage to grow the community. Whether you're in favor of those two mechanisms is a totally different story, but that, unfortunately, those are the rules you play with those cards.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So it's a point, if I'm gonna go put in, let's say I want to invest $200 million in DeKalb County, and I want to keep it a little bit on the QT because I'm trying to buy some land, I'm trying to, if it gets out like Walt Disney when he built Disney, if he would have said, hey, I want to put a 49,000 acre park here, or, 49 square miles, he wouldn't have got it for $100 or $20 an acre. He would have paid $1,000 an acre. Same thing here. People want to test the waters, make sure it's a fit, talk to business owners. It's a good point. And then they report to us then.
Sure.
Whereas the other option to that is, which is a worse option, they come to an individual commissioner instead, sell their idea, promise them a position on the board later. It's actually it actually adds a little transparency to have DCEDP in this involvement. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it really does add some, because no deal's put together and then we just can say yes or no. If there's a change that needs to an ordinance or zoning, that's when we get involved. So it is, under the current system, economic development does serve a good purpose, and I think the valuation is correct due to our size, especially with what the cities are kicking in. And that's what I needed to see, the city number. I forgot what the cities were kicking in.
And you have to look at what your return on the investment is, too. I mean, what'd you say, 81 million last year in economic growth for $230-some thousand of investment by the counties and cities and towns. And, as Tom was saying, the alternative is if you don't have a central location for clearinghouse for information, site selectors or developers are going to each individual city and town to try to get information. They're not going to hassle with that when they can go across the county line and get access to all that information easily. So,
One of the
I
things,
think it's a good investment for the county.
and if you, if we get rid of tax abatements, we get rid of TIF districts, which TIFs actually, that's an interesting mechanism that works. You could actually make economic development part of the county at that point, and you wouldn't really necessarily need an outside source. But this is just a way, especially when I got on the board, I learned how it worked more, and I looked at historically in other states and counties how they did it. Economic development's actually been around a long, long time. I thought it was a fairly new thing. It's been around.
Yeah, no, I was controller 4 years.
So
I
you
was in
understand
banking.
that. Yeah, no, I'm just saying from
Yeah.
my standpoint, coming in as a layman at first and then on the board and then as commissioner, as long as we have the TIFs and the tax abatements and the grant process too. I mean, the grants, and that's another thing, I don't like grants. I think it's a poor use of money. However, it's the card that we're dealt, and if we don't play it, someone else will.
Right.
And,
Well,
You have to remember, those grant money is our tax dollars.
that's what I'm saying. It should just be returned to us by our population, period, in my opinion. But since the state chooses to have this method, we have to play the game.
I've just seen it done differently by private industry early in my career, and now it's changed. It's much different. And there are a lot of worthy groups who are not getting the same level of funding that the economic development group gets. And I'll finish up here, Bill, but as a finance guy, as a former banker in this region, I saw a lot of economic development done without any kind of consideration of the economic development groups that were emerging in the late 80s, early 90s. And the banks and the private businesses were making the decisions on where to locate before we ever talked to economic development people. I still consult occasionally with private businesses, one in Switzerland recently, and they had their decisions made already before they came here for the most part, where they would be going. Then the economic development contacts are usually done later in the chain of events. That's all.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before we take this vote? Real quick.
Ellen Dooley, 2128 Palace Court. I was just asking Anton earlier, and I'd like him to clarify what is considered a win when he was talking about the 29 wins, and maybe give a few examples so anybody that's watching can understand.
Thanks, Kellen. So a win to us is a project that that we're involved in, whether we're the lead or assisting in that process, particularly in working with our communities or particularly a private sector individual. So our one big industrial win, if you will, so one of the 29 was the Vans Home Store project that built a warehouse that's just about finished up over in the Garrett Industrial Park. About a $3.9 million project. So that was like our big one industrial win, but last year was a lot of commercial and service type businesses. So for instance, if you look at, I believe it's the Auburn Crossing project where the Texas Roadhouse, Chipotle, and those property, or where that's located, a couple of years ago is when we were, originally had made contact with the developer on that project, and we're able to connect them with the city of Auburn through that process and help guide that along. We touch projects in different ways. Sometimes it's at the very, very front end, and it's to understand what they want, what they're doing, what they'd like to do, and then getting them connected with the right individuals. Or sometimes it's working the process through the entire process, of which we did with Vans Home Store, which included site search, so that we provided, worked with a number of brokers and also our internal inventory through that. And we're able to work with them through the city of Garrett and through that process. So those are kind of two ends of the spectrum. A couple others that included in that 29 piece. Some smaller type businesses, but more quality of life type activity, where really we just provided business knowledge and connected them with whether it's the Small Business Development Center or some in getting connected with with the city for building, planning, permitting, those processes. We help navigate that, and those couple projects would be Door 13, the speakeasy that just opened up in downtown Auburn, which I don't know if they like that being put out there, because now I know everyone's going to know about it. So, but anyways, the Door 13 speakeasy was one project that we helped with, and as far as the remodel of their project, and then also the Barrel and Blaze cigar, bourbon, and wine bar here downtown Auburn that is slated to open soon. But we've been it had helped them with connecting them with a number of vendors in that industry. I mean, talking ice and those types of things, just through mutual connections that we've had, but also again, connecting through the building, planning, permitting, and also the way to help them market themselves. So that's a big piece of what we do too, is share the news. So anyways, that's just, I don't have the complete list, but I did want to answer Kellen's question of to give an example of kind of the full spectrum of types of projects that we did do last year.
Okay, thank you, Anton. Okay, I will call for a vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion carries. You're all set. Mr. Parker.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
How are you guys today?
Oh, we're all chipper and an hour behind everything, and
Right? Yeah, the great full-time change.
yeah.
I was kind of hoping we was done with that, but maybe after this year, we will be.
Sure wish we could get somebody to carry that bill at the
Oh, man, I'm
legislature,
telling you
man.
what,
I'm going to keep harping at them.
you know, the funny thing is, that I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say, I just love daylight savings time, that I can recall.
I thought we were the only ones that had it right in the whole country, us in Arizona, there was,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we switched. I'm like,
Remember when Bob Severs would say it's 8 o'clock here and 9 o'clock in Ohio and Michigan?
yeah, anyway.
I heard a suggestion just yesterday, move ahead 1 hour and then just lock it in.
Yeah.
Or half hour, I'm sorry, half hour. Do the half hour, change and then stop.
I don't care what they do, just don't change
Yeah,
it.
just don't change it. Whether we stay eastern or central or do the half hour, just,
It's amazing how that messes with your internal
Oh,
clock.
yeah.
nobody likes it. And they had a big spiel on the news this morning about how the adverse effects of it, especially the first week.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's just
there's a spike in heart attacks and all
accidents.
kinds of, yeah.
And the claim that you get more productive because you can work more daylight. I'm like, okay, so work when you want to. What does it matter what the clock says?
Yeah,
Open
yeah.
at 7 if you want, open at 5, open at 10, I don't care.
If you want to get your 18 holes of golf in, go into work early,
Yeah.
just take off early.
Yeah.
Or something.
Close at
whatever.
4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock.
Let the schools change, because I heard one of the big things is the schools were one of the reasons they want to have the kids out during daylight, whatever. It's like, well, let the schools change their hours of operation if that's what they want to do. Why change the
Well,
whole
and the
dang
schools
clock?
went from the kids getting on the bus almost at daylight, now they're back to getting on the bus in the dark.
Yeah, yeah.
And that makes no sense.
Nope, not a bit.
Anyway, what you got, Ben?
Well, to start off, I sent you guys an email this Saturday. I don't know if you reviewed it. I did review the performance bond and performance and payment bond from API to the DeKalb County Commissioners for the 2024 CMG resurfacing project. They did get the dates, the contract amount right. The names was corrected from the original bond paperwork that was submitted. So these are the 2 original copies. And I brought these up for you guys to accept and for Susan to have the originals. Did you have a chance to glance over them?
I
Andy?
looked at them, I think they seem fine to me.
Okay. So I don't know if we really need an official, we accepted the bid
Right.
and contract with them, but it probably wouldn't hurt to have a motion and stuff to approve the bonds.
If you want a motion, I'd make a motion to approve the performance bond.
Motion and stuff to approve it. I'll second it.
Bill second, okay?
Okay, we have a
And payment all in one.
Yeah, and payment.
motion and a second on the floor. Additional comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Those are for Susan. There's nothing to sign on them, Bill. It's just, those are the originals, so. Next thing I got is the contract between DeKalb County and Butler Fairman Seifert for Bridge 75 on County Road 16. We requested some revisions to be done with that as far as the wording, some of the language that Andrew questioned, and then also the scope of work. They did change the scope of work up some. It was originally figured in the original plan, but this defines it a little bit better as far as possibly doing a small structure versus a bridge replacement. So that did decrease the cost some, but in order to do that, depending if it does go back to a bridge, there may possibly be a supplement come later on, depending on what all is found during the investigations of the project.
But they were able to put in a cap on the cost, I saw.
Yes, for right now on this one, it's not, well, the other one was that way too. It's just
Okay.
this one's a lower. This one is not to exceed $94,075. So I did budget that money for this bridge this year for the engineering. The money is in the budget. Butler Fairman does good work in the past. I've been pleased with them, and I think they would treat us well and do a fine job on this bridge. If you guys are okay with that, I'll have you guys sign this, and we'll move forward with Butler Fairman on Bridge 75.
Motion?
Yeah, I was looking for the signature page. Yeah, it's in there.
I'll make a motion that we sign the agreement with BF&S for Bridge 75.
And I will second.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Need signatures, right? Just Bill or all of us?
I believe it's all three of you. It's in there.
It's in
I
there.
meant to mark it. And I didn't.
There it is.
I believe it's even Susan to test, maybe? Nope,
Yeah,
just you three.
Just us three to sign.
Yep, then you'll have to, I can fill the dates and we approved it, if you guys just sign it.
Okay,
And I can scan it up to Susan then.
okay.
You're gonna just send it to me?
Unless you want to finish it and make a copy, it's up to you, so,
That's all right, just send it to me.
okay. Next thing I have, this was sent to me from Jack. You guys want to take a copy of this, pass it down? This is a quote from Security Automation Systems for the new highway department. This is a change from the current plan. The current plan had another company using for the gate controllers and the pad controllers. I'm drawing a blank on the other name of the company. We had a meeting last week to go over this with them, with SAS, and had the other firm online. There was a misconception on who was getting what material, and then we had to go back through and clarify how the operations of this was going to work. So basically, they had it set up to when you'd pull up to the gate, you had to have a card reader to get in the gate, which is fine if every vehicle you took in had a card reader.
Yeah.
But as people come in on the weekends or evenings in their personal car, there was no way of getting it. Now, these tags was just a little kind of like a scan tag, had a metal receiver, and you go up in your windshield and they stick permanently.
Yeah.
So we requested to make a change for that on the outside of these gates, there will be a pedestal with a code or card reader. And that's what this change is for, of $2,340. So I felt that was the best option to have, that way, depending on, because like I've got a couple different vehicles at home.
Oh.
If I get called in, my other truck's got, this one don't. I just was afraid of people not being able to get in and out after hours if they need be, or.
There's no way to have them just make a wallet-sized card that's an RFID that when you pull up, it opens the gate, right?
I don't know if there was or not. There may be.
The only reason I say that, those keypads are fine. The airport has them. You put your card on it, it goes beep, and then you type the code. But when it's cold out and those buttons stick,
I'm sure.
it's a nightmare, and I hate them. I'm like, just make it to where you tap the card and it opens, because you know who it is, and their response was, well, someone could steal your card. I'm like, if I really went in here, I'll just drive through the fence. It's not a big deal, you know? So I'd rather not see the keypads at all. I'd rather just see an RFID, you hold it up, and the units, because they know who's
And
coming in.
it will still do that if we can get that, but that would be nice if someone leaves it in their vehicle, we still have.
No, I'm saying one they can keep in their wallet.
Right.
Just an RFID card
And
that
we've
when it
got-
senses it.
And there may be, we did get some extra of those that we may even be able to get the smaller, like fob ones or something that may work. But that can also be added. I still think this is a good
Yeah, it's fine.
scenario to have. Then we also changed, the inside has got a loop that will be into the ground, that when you drive up on it, it will signal the vehicle and the gate will open. And that's when the gate's closed. I'm hoping that during the day, we'll just have to play it by ear and see how things go, how people react, whether they're coming in a lot or out. We may leave the gate up by the offices closed and with the
Yeah.
west gate left open for the guys to go in and out. His idea is to keep everybody from going into the campus area, then going into back shop areas, and just, we're trying to do a little bit of management on where they can go and how they access.
Because they make RFID readers. This is the airport
I know
card.
exactly what you're saying. Yep.
And that you can just hold this up in your windshield. They make strong, that can detect it. And then the other ones, the keypad ones, you actually, like a gas pump, you have to tap it.
Right.
And I'm just thinking that, I hate the keypad because in the winter, it just doesn't work.
I understand.
It's just my opinion, but.
But I think that's something that, if they got the card readers for the vehicles, I'm sure that they can get them a smaller one that,
I would think so, but,
and that may be something we may look at too.
well, there's a difference. The ones that usually read the car are reading a barcode, and it's with like a laser or something, it's a scanner.
Okay.
And then RFID is actually like a magnetic transmission. That's what this is. And they make them to where they're long
It's like
distance.
when
Where,
you go through the car wash, it
Yeah.
just reads it off your windshield.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, anyway, but I know what you're saying, the fixed unit doesn't work. You need to come in on a
Right.
Sunday, to start early plowing and you're driving your personal vehicle up.
Right.
And, yeah. Okay, I'm okay with it.
So, I just want to bring this up. If you guys are okay, I will email Jack and let him know we can proceed.
We need a motion for that?
It
Yes.
could, it's a small enough amount, but
Let's do a motion.
I'd make a motion to accept the security automation systems improvement of $2,340.
A motion second on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
there's nothing to be signed, so I'll just let them know that we approved it, and we'll move with that. Okay. Next thing I got, just for information purposes for everyone, last week we had the pre-construction meeting for County Road 56 with NDOT and Butler Fairman. I've been getting a lot of questions on the project and when it's starting and what our schedule is. So their tentative schedule is now, they are starting to clear the right-of-way. They've got it cleared started on the March 18th through March 29th. They're gonna go through and clear all the trees on the north side that need to be removed. There's upwards around 200 trees removed, but you gotta remember, a lot of them smaller one. There is some larger trees. They're gonna start that and then have that done. We gotta be done by April 1st because of the bat roosting season. So they wanna get in there and get that done. And then we gotta do, erosion control and water control. So we're gonna set up some sock tubes and things around the people's perimeters. I don't think we're gonna have any issues, but they are gonna set that up. And then they're starting utility relocations on April 1st, and that's scheduled to go through June 17th.
Oh,
So NIPSCO's got to come through. A lot of the residents are on the north side, so they got a drop across the road, and they got to move them utilities back out of the new road right away. And Frontier's out there working as we speak, relocating their lines, so that stuff's working, moving forward. Then they plan on starting the road closure right now to the date is June 17th to October 11th. It's 80, basically 81 days closure, what they're speculating. And then the substantial completion, they are looking for, let's see here. It will be that October 15th. Date is what they're looking for substantial. And then the final completion will be sometime early spring 2025 if they don't get all the groundwork done, the seeding, the lawn leveling. But the road all should be back open. What they're shooting for now is tentatively around October 15th. So that is the schedule per the meeting that we had last week. So just so everyone knows that. It was kind of interesting. I looked through the soil borings for the peat area down there. There is one area it was between the two borings, so I'm not sure how far that was between the two borings, that it was very unstable soil, even past the 15-foot mark.
really? 15 foot?
Because the whole area is scheduled to come out 15 foot deep, 50 foot wide, 1,000 feet long. So there's a lot of material to go in there, a lot to come out, a lot to go back in there. It's to be filled with B-barrel.
What's B-barrel?
It's basically a sandy bank run material, sand, stone.
That's good base.
Yeah, it will work good for that. There's a little bit of concern about the water, how much will be there. It's going to depend on our summer, how wet it is. But anytime you dig that deep, there's going to be water. There is a line item for dewatering. If it's not substantial water, it will actually probably will benefit us some because that B-barrel, as being a sandy material, will pack better with some moisture. But obviously, we can't keep a lake in there, so we'll see how that works out. The other areas, it went about 13 foot of marl, and then it hit solid soil. So that was good news I seen on the soil boring. So I like that. Just that one strip, however far that was in there, is all I noticed on the soil borings. It was kind of comical. The asphalt in one area down there is 40 inches thick.
The asphalt?
And just keep adding.
Just keep adding on top of it?
We like a good road base in
That's a good
DeKalb
base
County.
there, yeah.
40 inches thick.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, almost 4 foot.
That's a lot of asphalt to remove.
That's a lot of asphalt to remove.
Okay.
Have
So-
good millings.
That's a lot of roadway that's sunk.
One other thing that I am working on, I don't know for sure if it's gonna happen. So not to get some people's hopes up, it's a gamble. On the pre-construction meeting, we had an on-site visit last Friday, or excuse me, Thursday, to go over our erosion control plan and where we needed to establish all that. I'm asked Brooks to submit a change order into NDOT, since that's a federally funded project. They got to account where all the materials go to that's coming off-site. So I asked them to submit an application for approval through NDOT. The area engineer was there, and he didn't have no issue with it. When they mill that road, they are milling all that road off. And I would like to dump all them millings on County Road 17 between 56 and 60 and make that a hard top. But my concern is, when they mill that, that road is alligated enough, there's a lot of big chunks in there. So when that drum's spinning, it just kicks them big chunks. It don't mill it, it don't grind it. So if a majority of that is that way, it's not gonna work. Because we'll have to reclaim that, the material to be able to lay it out, because that road will have to be drivable and maintainable. And when you get a lot of them big chunks, it's almost impossible to get it laid out, get the voids filled, and not have them kicking up and cause a hazard. But if the millings come off decent, if it gets permitted, and if Brooks agreed to it, he's got to check with his higher up, because if when they bid that project, they bid it to haul their plant. And that's recycled asphalt products that they make money off of. So they got to look and see whether they can save money or cost them money, or if they would have to charge us a little bit to dump it on 17. So all that is in the works a little bit now. May work, may not. It's going to depend on Brooks's bid and as far as their funding. And then it's also going to pertain to us getting the permit to dump it there.
Okay, County Road 17 between what?
60 and 56.
We are running over, Ben.
Okay.
Pretty much.
But I just want to let you guys know that and see if you would agree with that and had any problems, but,
I see no problem.
okay.
That'll work,
That's a good idea.
because they've
And-
wanted that.
What time, what date, month in 25 was the 56 project?
October 15th completion.
No, in 25,
That was
she asked.
substantial, the
I'm
final
sorry.
one?
This one don't say. I'm trying to go off of memory. It was, I believe it was June of 25.
It was. Yeah,
Okay,
June.
thank you.
So, but, okay, that's the business I had, unless you guys had anything else for me.
Here.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Need me, give me a holler.
All right.
Okay, Surf Internet.
Okay, so I'm going to give a quick little overview and then have Steve come up. Zach Sand with Sand Strategies. Just want to update you guys on our broadband deployment efforts in DeKalb County. As you guys are aware, we were engaging providers over the past couple of months for NLC round 4. Out of the 4 providers that we were speaking with, there was 2 of them that officially put in applications for NLC round 4. Just a reminder of NLC round 4, that's the Next Level Connections program through the state of Indiana. It's the state's final bucket of dollars they have left till the federal money comes for the BEAD program, which is that $868 million. So I did want to get an opportunity to get Surf to come and present to you guys today, give a little overview in their investment in the county. Surf has been a great partner here in the county and really helping support some of those more rural areas that we have here and providing service there. So I wanted to give him an opportunity to give an overview as well as a little bit of information about their NLC 4 application that they did submit. Then after that, I'd love to give a quick little wrap up just on what the BEAD program looks like and how we're leveraging that program here in DeKalb County. So with that, I will turn it over to Steve.
Thank you all. Give everybody, this is not the presentation itself, just a little supplemental information. Also a flyer about an event we're having.
Thank you.
So Surf Internet has constructed a fiber network in Waterloo with private investment. We are in the design and engineering and permitting phase for Butler, Indiana. We're also going to do parts of Ashley, Corunna, and St. Joe. No need for us to do any work in Auburn because of Auburn Essential Services. So each of those locations can potentially serve as a launching point for expanding into rural areas more economically. And we also did, for DeKalb Central Schools, we did a wide area network connecting their school buildings. So we're leveraging that already. There's some rural broadband that we're doing off of that line. And each, in our business, each crossroads that we go through is a potential launch point to go another mile this way and another mile this way. So, as Zach mentioned, we're one of 2 providers that applied for the NLC Round 4 grant, the other one being LigTel. LigTel's service area is predominantly in the northeastern corner or northwestern corner of the county. Ours is spread out through LaGrange, Noble, Steuben, Allen, and DeKalb County to maximize our point scoring with the way that the grant application was at the time. So our estimated score right now is a 152 out of 250. Put that on an AF grade. We're at a D- right now. Did the best we could with the inventory of locations available to us. But it was 465 rural addresses in DeKalb County. And in some of these areas where you see lesser density, our cost per home passed or per agribusiness passed was over $11,000. So it gives you kind of a picture of the challenge that's faced for doing rural broadband in these rural areas. So in a previous conversation, one of the commissioners had requested that we give a comprehensive view. What would it take to do the whole county, not just these pockets that would be grant eligible? So what we went to our engineering firm and we excluded the areas where we knew there was already wireline broadband service, not wireless, but wireline. So all the red dots, and I know that's an eye chart, but all the red dots are rural agribusinesses, businesses, or homes, and that's just over 6,000 addresses. And those addresses are based on the NTIA's broadband map for what's called a broadband service location, or BSL. So here's the key slide. For that previous map that's proposed, these are the overall costs. Doing underground would be about $44 million. If we were able to get an exemption, we could, for a countywide build, we could shave $10 million right off the top and do vibratory plowing. For BEAD, the BEAD program, with Davis-Bacon wage requirements, NEPA, NHPA, all the other requirements that are placed on us, we're at $86 million. So just shy of double the cost to do it with BEAD. And then aerial, and I believe this aerial would be, in this area would be a mixture of NIPSCO and AEP, coordinating with them. And love those guys, but they're as large as the federal government and about as easy to deal with. So it would be the most economical way. It would be the fastest to do it on poles, but the coordination involved could be cumbersome, and it could extend the time frame significantly. Out of each one of these, no matter what it is, SURF has return on investment requirements that place our maximum contribution to about 12 million out of each one of these. So about 2,000-ish per address. So that that delta between the overall cost needs to be covered either under BEAD, other programs, or very creative strategies. Any questions thus far on the costing? And
Questions, comments?
You say to do a county-wide underground, you talking fiber to the premise to every house?
fiber to the premise to every home.
Earlier in the meeting, I was thinking, why don't we do fiber like you're doing now in Waterloo? Have a transmitter tower to give that, to shoot out rural areas, often use that fiber as a backhaul, that you already have in place. And then as areas grow, maybe do fiber to the premise if it's necessary, instead of trying to bring fiber to the premise to every house. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like, because I don't see 45 million ever happening. I guess in private equity wants to do it, 45 million, go ahead. I just don't see where 45 million would come from to do fiber to the premise. It seems to be a hybrid system, bringing it to the small cities, which you've done and others have done. I believe you've done Waterloo, correct?
Correct, yes.
Already. I know that there's fiber in Hamilton that then they have a drop to Butler, which goes to a tower, and that's the backhaul for some rural service. It just seems to me like that's going to be the way to get things done quickly. This looks like a 5 or 10 year plan maybe here.
I grant you that. I will grant you that. So at the 45 million, like 44.5 million, that's about $7,500 per household or per passing, let's say. And there's no privately funded play for that at all, ever. It's just, we can usually get about $65 per month per subscriber, and that's per person who subscribes to the service, and we anticipate a 50 to 65% penetration rate. So again, not every address that we're showing on that could be a wellhead, that could be
Right.
it could be propane exchange points have an address. Red box rentals places have an address. ATMs have addresses. So again, the private play is not going to be there. For the wireless, and I'll address this a bit in the next slide. But for the wireless, we have some complications there, especially with regard to any kind of public funding of wireless. And mainly because there are operating right now 3 or 4 fixed wireless providers in the county who are now claiming nearly 100% coverage of the county. So that would also mean that any additional wireless that's introduced would raise the noise floor, the RF noise floor, and that would there's only so many channels available in this space. So it would have a potentially negative impact on existing wireless customers by introducing a new wireless system. But this is, the fixed wireless coverage is a bit problematic in terms of BEAD. And again, I'm showing a pretty complicated map here, but every single dot on this map has been claimed by a provider to already be serviced with what the NTIA technically considers broadband.
What is that number?
100 megabits down and 20 megabits up. So essentially, DeKalb County, except for 89 addresses within DeKalb County is technically, by the NTIA, seen as served now. And that will be problematic ongoing because the challenge process is really on the end user and the consumer to challenge those performance claims. So with regard to BEAD, that funding, the 880 some million that's coming into Indiana, there's a chance that DeKalb County unless the situation changes somehow, and I don't see a feasible way of it changing, that money may not make it into the county.
Twice as much using the bead anyway, right?
True, but they're going to contribute, the federal government is going to contribute a significant portion of those funds.
I'm just saying, though, it's still money being spent double because it's a federal program, and
Right.
here's how you have to do it, so it costs twice as much. So just seems crazy, but I get what you're saying, though. I know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the takeaway I would encourage everyone to have with this slide here in particular is that, comparatively speaking, Vanderburgh County, Warwick County doesn't have this level of coverage portrayed in these maps. So Surf Internet, Ligtel, any of the providers, the wireline providers, cannot apply for funds in this area. So
That's unfortunate.
indeed, it's going to leave a lot of rural residents in a lurch, because I think there's an overrepresentation of performance claims within these maps.
And that's because they want to protect their business, correct? I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's a good
we serve
strategic
that,
move,
here's the numbers, so you don't, so we're going to be the only game.
and prove us wrong.
Yeah, prove us wrong.
FCC maps.
Which is what I would do if I owned that business too, you know, it's
So
you know.
FCC maps have been a point of contention forever.
So, yeah, and the maps have been a problem. The biggest problem now is that the challenge itself, the challenge to these performance claims, is now on the individual resident or individual business or agribusiness to submit it through three speed tests or through proof of not being able to get service at that area, like let's say an email from the provider. I would also, just to kind of ice the cake, so to speak, in the eastern and southeastern portion of the county, there are 3 fixed wireless providers claiming 100 by 20 coverage to nearly every single address. And what this means is that for a valid challenge for that address to be converted to eligible would be either three speed tests per provider and or proof that the provider cannot provide that service.
What are they using for transmission? Is it fiber? Is it?
These would all be most likely in the general availability license 3.65 gigahertz frequency range. So
Wireless.
yeah, it's all wireless.
Okay, I thought you said wireless.
Yeah, every dot on here is a wireless provider. So even the density that you see within Auburn itself, that's not AES. The density in Waterloo is not surf. Those are all wireless depictions. So, the laws of physics don't really allow for this to be valid. So this is kind of the landing point for everything. ConnectingIndiana.com or going through the Indiana Broadband Office, and Zach has, established contacts within that office to understand what we can do. But this would be for individuals and residents, and really the burden of proof, again, is on that resident. So there's always another way to skin a cat, so to speak. And there are other programs available. One that we've used, and I've put a flyer in the front, is the ICP package, and that is through Next Level Connections, or OKRA. It's their program, and the coverage claims and performance claims of the NTIA's map don't apply to this program. So essentially, all you need to do is do a speed test, sign up online, and if you pass muster through the qualification process, your address is able to be placed into a bid pool. Now, there will be a bid pool released tomorrow. Hopefully, there will be a significant number of DeKalb County addresses within that. But within that bid pool, all providers, surf, AT&T, Comcast, everybody can bid on that, and it provides each individual address up to $4,800 in subsidy to cover that address. So when we build to, let's say, a cluster of 3 addresses within a square mile area, we're looking at all passing addresses as well. So one address can yield 6 to 11 additional addresses. And again, we're not beholden to the BEAD process and the federal government requirements for coverage. It's a state program, and I anticipate this round is probably the second to the last round available. What we've done in Stark County, LaPorte County, and coming up in Whitley County are events where we walk people. It's a state form, so it's not very easy to fill out. So we walk through, we've done probably 125 to 150 individuals filling out these forms over the last several months. And the upcoming event in Whitley County, we intend to do the same. So that's just, I would encourage the county to participate in some way of just promoting it. It's an event we usually hold at a library or a public forum of some kind, allowing people in the rural area to sign up. So, in addition to that, engage with the Indiana Broadband Office. I would encourage you to ask them point blank, what's DeKalb County's situation with regard to BEAD? And then consider local funding to supplement high-cost areas. I don't know where those, what the planning is. Of course, 45 million is a daunting number, but there are pockets of opportunity, and each address we get to gets us closer to another address. That's the principle of all this. So as we can get closer and closer to each one, we get closer to others. And that's all I had for today, and I know I've gone kind of long here, so.
Fine. You're fine. Questions, comments?
That answered my questions.
Any questions from the public? Okay.
Do really want to thank Steve and the SURF team again too. I would recommend, I'm also working with SURF in Whitley County putting together that event. I really am proud of SURF. There's a lot of providers don't even mess with this ICP program. It's a great program. Been pushing a lot of other providers on how we can kind of do something like this, and Steve and the SURF team have stepped up and done that. So through our broadband task force that Commissioner Mike Watson is on, Councilwoman Natalie DeWitt and the EDC is involved in, I would recommend if we could do a joint event with them to get people signed up for that ICP program too. And then also want to make a couple comments too about Steve's presentation too. We are just now just opened up this Monday, the BEAD challenge process. So kind of to Steve's point is kind of in the end user's kind of hands to making sure that we have eligible addresses for that. We have through our broadband task force as well. We have, all of our stakeholders that are represented there. Like I said before, everyone from schools to Farm Bureau and general business and everyone in between, making sure they're informed about that program, making sure they are challenging those areas that deemed that are served that actually aren't and happy. My team and as well as the Indiana Broadband Office team is happy to walk step by step through that process to make sure they submit a challenge. And then also too, want to mention to Steve's point, at this time, not obviously asking for any money today, but as we kind of go through this process and see what competitive applications look like with NLC Round 4, as well as getting to the kind of after the challenge process for BEAD, what are going to be the kind of final eligible addresses, kind of putting our heads together on what might be a good idea, putting aside some dollars for a match for these different grants. Because as Steve's point where they got like a D on that, based on right now, the scoring kind of got a D on that. That's just because there's been no public investment into that. We get a higher score as the local unit puts in an investment towards that application, getting you a higher score. I know we've had Lakeland Internet that's also doing some work out there with kind of Mr. Sanderson, that you talked about with having kind of like a more fixed wireless solution that kind of goes out there. too, but I would recommend we kind of hold off, see what we're awarded potentially from NLC Round 4 in June, and then also see what the funding and opportunity looks like with BEAD before we just kind of go directly just partnering with one provider, because I think it's kind of best to make sure we kind of stretch that dollar as much as we can and try to see if it makes sense for us to use any of those state and federal programs that are out there. So with that, that's all I have.
Okay. Wrap that up.
Zach, what kind of support are we getting from Farm Bureau in terms of the challenges?
Yeah, so typically what we create like a template. So what it allows them to do is we put together the exact, working with the broadband office, we put together essentially like a step-by-step walkthrough on how to challenge those addresses. And then we allow, say it's the Farm Bureau or the schools, they can slap their letterhead on it. Creative things that we've done is, like the Power School platform, every parent and teacher has access to, putting it on there. Farm Bureau or any other kind of group out there, EDC, Chamber of Commerce, making sure they're putting it in their newsletter, just organically as best as we can to try to get that information out there with those partners, because they represent a large constituency and membership as well. So leveraging those groups to get out the message as well. And then we can also, kind of work with Steve too, as hosting that ICP event. My team is happy to help kind of walk people through that BEAD challenge process as well too, because it's a little cumbersome as well too, to kind of put that challenge in place.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
No.
I believe that's a wrap then. Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you,
Steve,
guys.
thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate the info.
you bet. Okay, we have some more discussion topics to get through.
Yes, we do.
The Aerial Pest Control Agreement, Sunny Meadows.
So
Any chance?
this is the one that we kind of had discussed, so I could get her moving on it. So I would like to do a formal approval on this and then have Bill sign.
Bed bugs are expensive.
They are expensive. I did not even have any clue.
Tell you what, though, that's something you just can't deal with. Bed bugs, that's.
And it had they got behind on it, that's why it cost so much last year. So this is less than what it would have been, what it was last year, so.
And make a motion, we approve the Aero Pest Agreement. Bugs at Sunny Meadows.
I will second that for sure.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments?
Just to clarify, it also does do the normal
Yeah.
monthly.
Yeah, the monthly is in there too,
It's
but
all
it's
kinds.
60 instead of 370, but yeah, the total of 5220, yeah.
He does salt guns.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Bed bugs are approved.
Proved to be killed. My wife would burn her house down if we had bed bugs in it.
Oh,
It would,
man.
it'd be over.
I would too.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. St. Joe Spencerville, RSD recipient agreement approval / signatures.
So Mike Klein Peter had emailed, I don't know if he just emailed me or not, but with the sewer project, get these straight here, with the sewer project for St. Joe Spencerville, which we've already approved the whole idea, but we have to formally approve and sign for the grant administration services. And then we also have it's a standard subrecipient agreement because we're passing through the money. Basically, federal items that we have to do so we can keep doing having the grant. So I don't care if you guys want to do it all in one motion or how you want to do it.
I think that's the way to do it. Approve the agreement and us be the approval through the pass-through, correct? So my motion would be to approve the agreement for professional grant administration services. Pass through it.
Second that.
A motion and a second. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay.
Okra and okra the same thing. Okra and okra the same thing. IOCRA. No, wait, no, that's Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. Never mind. Dumb question.
Okay.
Oh, wait, okra's not spelled that way.
Moving on to St. Joe Spencerville RSD Grant Administration Contract.
We just did those
combined those
together.
two.
We did that
Yep.
together.
Yeah.
We combined those, so we should be, the Change Academy agreement.
Yes.
So Michelle had sent the MOUs for the next 3 school years for your approval. Did you read it?
I did.
We do this we do it every
I've got a question.
time they have to redo this.
I read in the paper is Hamilton's going to opt out.
Well, yeah, they opted in for just last year.
It's in this, they're listed in this contract. New superintendent's going to opt him out. Where are we at? Can we approve this yet without a verification of that?
Them opting out.
Yes.
Are they opting out for, it would be for the 24-25 school year starting then?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
How does that affect the contract, dollars wise, or?
It would affect some dollars that come from them, and obviously,
So it looks like a total charge of $130,000. 46% is paid by DeKalb Central, 23% by Eastern, 23% by Garrett, and then 8% by Hamilton because they had 2 seats.
So those 2 seats would have to be reallocated in their
They'd be
percentage.
redistributed among
Yeah.
the other entities.
and the money would change.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure we can do that
Well,
today.
the dollars won't change, I don't think. The total dollars won't change, they just get reallocated.
And the
So
seats.
that
yeah.
8% would get spread among,
If you're servicing less people though, wouldn't the total dollars go down a little? I mean,
I think
I don't
it's, I think it's fixed cost.
It depends whether those 2 seats would go, because if there's still going to be 2 seats and one would go to Garrett, one would
I
go
see what
to
you're saying.
DeKalb, then they would still be servicing that. I just don't know if they'll
How
do
about if we
that.
ask Michelle? I bet that's what you're doing.
The other school systems are going to have to decide which one wants the other 2 seats if they're going to do that too.
Also, I know we have been working to get the lease agreement for the building that they're in, that always ran on a fiscal plan. And Mr. Lay had contacted them and said that he would get one to them that actually started July of '23.
oh,
I believe until the end of June, maybe of 2025. I haven't seen it yet. But I don't know after that, like if there's not a place, I don't know what happens.
home somewhere, wouldn't it? Currently leased there at the old Lay Construction, the old cinema, right? That's where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if one of the schools would have room to house that.
Idea is to remove them from the school. I know what
Right.
you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we need to have clarification on that. She'll get a hold of that the new superintendent up there and find out for sure. Yeah, because,
But confirm from Hamilton that they are out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they.
What's the reasoning for
they
not
could-
being in?
They could change their mind anyway.
new superintendent, and he just,
Well, they had never been part of the program before anyway.
Okay.
And then the now former superintendent just thought it would, they had some issues where it would be a good fit for them. And so they opted in, and
They just changed their mind.
philosophical
basically,
difference with the new superintendent.
yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Just curious if performance they didn't care for, or if it's
No.
just their preference.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hold on.
all three of the school systems have really good things to say about what happens out there, how the programs are.
Okay,
Okay, I'll hold on to that, then, get me keep going.
I think, yeah, let's try to get
Okay,
that next one.
so the next one is the St. Joe Town Water, not Sewer
Right,
project.
that's where I get confused.
Water, no sewer.
Yeah, this is where you guys had opted to award $150,000 of ARPA. So this is just the agreement between you guys that I need you to sign. Actually, it's just Bill, but need you to sign so that I have proof when state board wants it.
Motion to have
that's
Bill
approved.
sign the agreement for the $150,000 ARPA fund award to St. Joe Water Project.
Water projects. So, second.
Okay,
Second for
we
water
have
project.
a motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
On the Eastern Star, do we just want to motion that we accept their help? Or is there anything specific we need to sign, or that is the help, the continued help out at Sunny Meadows?
The only question I'd have, I appreciate their help, would be the penalty we may incur by them. Since they're not an employee, we need some type of hold harmless agreement.
There's probably, what, a dozen organizations that are in and out of there all the time.
Are there?
Helping out. So
Okay,
Always-
just want to make sure we're protected liability.
Well, sure. Yeah, I don't think.
I don't see
I
these
think
people
we
are
should be
suing us.
covered by regular liability for premises, especially since we're not paying them to do the work.
Yeah.
Our general liability policy, I would think, would cover that.
That's okay. Just want, okay. Good.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
So,
Do you even need a motion for that, since, like Mike says, we have entities helping out there, we just don't have an objection to them helping, correct?
yeah, well, the Eastern Star has some new leadership, and they wanted to make sure that
Oh,
they had our approval for them to go ahead and do that. So just to cover bases, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we give approval for the Eastern Star to continue volunteer work at Sunny Meadows.
and I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Comments? Yes, Lita? Up. Make sure the mic's on.
It's not so much volunteer work. What it is they're going out and maybe having a pizza party or something like that. They're not actually going out
Oh,
and
okay.
doing work. It's providing fun stuff for them to do and, you know.
Little
I think
outreach
they're
stuff.
gonna, I think from the last I heard, they were gonna do an Easter dinner for them.
Okay.
So it's that kind of thing. It's not actually out there doing service projects.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Great.
Thanks, Lita. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries. It's official. Chris?
While we're on Sunny Meadows, give me about just 30 seconds here.
Sure.
For some reason or another, there's been some kind of a policy that the residents out there can't help do anything. I can't find any legal or valid reason why they can't. And Andrew, I wanted to maybe have you take a look at that.
Yeah,
To see if there's any.
Thank you.
Any real issue with that, or whether that's just a policy that maybe Don put together or something. I think it would be beneficial for the residents and for us if they could do things like fold laundry or help
I
clean
agree.
up or sweep or whatever. I think it's just a missed opportunity that would be a real benefit for them. So unless,
And I think they want to.
well, they
There is-
definitely do.
I saw something in the last, I'm gonna say last, maybe 30 days or 60 days, from either like, I don't know, Dottie or Rick Ring or somebody saying that there was a change in the law that said you couldn't have the residents of a county home doing work as part of their pay for staying there.
Right.
Well, that's fine, but if they want to just help, why can't we let them help?
Yeah.
It's not a requirement they help. They can
We'd
just
have
sit
to
in their
see,
room.
so sometimes, for example, with even for-profits and sometimes in non-for-profit settings as well, employees that work for the company cannot volunteer their time. For example, your employees
Right.
at Sanderson Auto can't volunteer to come in on the weekend for a special, car sale promotion as a volunteer, so they're not paid overtime.
Hey, right.
So I don't know if that public policy system would stay here, you could say, hey, you don't have to do it, but then is there still subtle pressure on them to have to work to stay?
Right.
That's the only concern I would have with that.
Yeah, and I think the way to present it
But I
is
could
saying,
research
hey,
it.
if you would like to help,
Strictly,
Yeah,
there's things to do here. If you don't want to, enjoy your
because it's a
stay.
residential housing.
Yeah.
strictly voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't want people climbing on the roof to fix
No,
stuff or
no,
anything like that,
obviously.
but just routine stuff. I think everybody wins on that.
Well, I think it builds community too within the organization instead of just sitting around being taken care of. A lot of those people probably want something to do.
I think at one time something, they weren't able to do their garden, if I remember right.
They're what, their garden?
Like they weren't able
See,
to,
that's crazy.
they wanted to have their own little garden
There's
and they
nothing
weren't
wrong with
allowed
that.
to.
So do you want me to research that?
Yeah,
Again,
I
it may
think
have been
so.
researched in the, yeah, okay, I'll
If you
research
would,
the Sunny
please.
Meadows stuff.
Because originally that was the whole deal out there.
Yeah,
They
it's
worked-
community.
The county farm, right?
Yeah,
Work on
they
the farm.
worked
And
on
Yeah.
farming and
Something
if you
milking.
can, try to work, yeah, I
If
understand.
you can't, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to have us violate some state law that's there to protect.
I absolutely agree with that.
Okay, I'll research that.
All right, Chris.
We're back with the address ordinance.
Yeah.
And really, what we are looking at is page 4 and page 2 and page 4. If you remember, there were clauses in there about the builder or developer having to get approval from the highway department, and we decided, let's just have the highway department do all signs except on private roads intersecting with other private roads. So that eliminated a lot of stuff in here, which was nice. I like deleting versus trying to come up with language. But what we did, and this has been reviewed by Ben Parker and Andrew as a legal standpoint, basically revising it that the highway department's responsible for, and I'm reading 2.03, is responsible for making and installing the street name signs with materials available by the DeKalb County Highway Department. The cost of making and installing shall be borne by the DeKalb County Highway Department. And that they're responsible for making the signs where a public or private streets intersects with another public street. So it's not, we're not doing private road signs. And then I added 2.05, you can keep it or not, it's just that it's about the private streets intersecting with other private streets. But it reads, the property owner or developer is responsible for making and installing the street name signs where a new private streets intersects with another new or existing private street. The design, creation, installation, maintenance shall be the responsibility of the property owners who's responsible for the maintenance of that private street. The reason I did that is because I would be nervous, and I don't think it matters really what they look like, especially when you're in a private development. I don't think police cars are going to be going 50 miles an hour down a road or 60 or 70. That the streets are at least identified. I don't believe we have any private streets intersecting private streets that's cul-de-saced and that sort of thing, that a normal quote-unquote subdivision looks like. But I added that in there. You're free to keep it, free to take it out. I don't really have a preference either way. But then on page 4, under 4.05, basically removing the language in there of the funds of, I'm trying to think of how to do it, the penalty funds from not putting in street name signs because they don't have to anymore. So removing all that, this still is good for people doing their own address signs, but removing language in there about purchasing or not putting up street name signs, because that's going to be done by the highway department now. So that's everything that was revised from the last ordinance. Again, the highlights that you see here and all that are over the course of this entire project. But everything, I believe, knock on wood, makes sense. And just so you guys are aware, I did not know this, but I knew this, I just didn't know all the details of it. The fire station number 2 on Grand Staff is who makes street name signs. Or address number signs. Those,
All of DeKalb County?
for all of DeKalb County, yep. You can make your own. You can go to the Home Depot and buy the green reflective thing and numbers and put it on, but they do it for $10. And it costs them about $9.50 to make. So they're not making any profit on it. I just was curious, like why, or not really why, they got started doing it when the address ordinance was created, because it was a 911 issue that they were the main,
Because they're the main
fire department, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had the staff to do it, so that's how they got started doing it. And they just buy 25 of those green signs at a time and then keep letter or numbers in there when they need them. And they said it's no issue. I called to make sure that, if somebody walks in, what's the turnaround time? And literally they're like, if we have people there, it can be done that in 5 minutes.
So they're efficient then.
Yeah, so it doesn't
don't
take
mind
any
doing
time.
it?
No. I made sure that shows like, you guys care that you do this? Like, we're sending people over to you.
They're not complaining.
They don't complain, and yeah, I just was kind of curious as to,
$10, a good deal.
yeah.
That's
yeah,
a
yeah,
good deal.
Yeah, and they're getting everything at cost from,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good deal. Appreciate Auburn doing that.
yeah.
Okay.
So this, because it has penalties in it, right, Susan, it'll have to be 3 readings plus a newspaper ad?
Yes.
Correct. First reading today and run the ad, right?
I think the ad runs after final
After
approval.
The
final.
third reading.
After the third reading, oh, right.
Okay.
That's
If you do
because
them
if it's-
all today, then I can,
I think we should get this over with.
Yeah.
I'd make a
done.
motion to, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of you.
No,
Any
that's,
more discussion or?
it's clean. I see no point in dragging it out.
Yeah.
So, motion on first reading?
With that said, I'd, motion to approve ordinance 2024 O dash, what is, blank here?
2.
2. For the street signs.
And I will second.
A motion is second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Okay, motion to suspend rules, and that'll have to be unanimous.
Move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2024-0-2 by title only on second and third reading.
Second that also.
A motion and a second to suspend rules. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Motion to do second and third reading by title only.
I'll move that we, approve ordinance 2024-0-2 on second and third reading by title only.
Second that also.
A motion and second. Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Good work on that, Chris.
Thank you. Well, thanks for
I
the
like how we
time
cleaned it
and
up. Made it simple.
This was a good collaboration effort between all of us involved, so.
Yeah.
It was good. I think it would be helpful.
Thank you. Just gives a little more work to the highway department. They don't have anything to do, so. Right, Ben? I know he's listening.
Susan?
Yeah, I think it just takes one publication.
Excuse me.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75 Butler. So the reason I wanted to ask it why the zoning administrator is here is I just have some questions. Over the weekend, we started putting out yard signs and stuff. We want to make sure that we're doing the campaign signs correctly, that we're not, messing up any of the rules. So I actually have 3 different questions. The first one would be, we got some calls from some people, and we were wondering are we allowed to put signs in the right-of-ways?
County highways, right-of-ways, or city?
Just in general, all of the areas, I guess.
I'm told in the city, they could not be between like the sidewalk and the curb because that was
Okay.
right away. It had to be in the yard.
Okay.
So I would think the county would be the same. Wouldn't it have to be out of the right of way or not?
They do it all the time right away.
I don't think there's an ordinance.
There's an
in there.
ordinance
Yeah,
against it.
Yeah, it's always done all the time.
Yeah.
It's been done all the time in the past.
I'm just thinking for like mowing and stuff, and
Well, that's at their peril.
I think technically the state ordinance covers that on political signs, so I suppose technically they shouldn't be in the right of way, but it's never been enforced for as long as I've
They've
been
been
around.
enforced.
And
the last
hopefully the
30
right of
years.
way, when the signs are gonna be in people's yards, the mowers usually don't necessarily have to do the yards.
Yeah.
Don't they go around and just do the ditches?
Yeah.
Not the yards.
But
Mostly.
that doesn't always,
but that
Doesn't
right,
always work,
that right of
but
way
yeah.
can be 30 foot up though. The ditch might only be 8 foot of it and it goes another.
well,
if
and
you
we
put
have
them
some
in there-
situations where there is no berm, it's ditch, and
Yeah.
then it goes up, and then it's just undergrowth.
Yeah.
I think if you put them in a place where it's gonna get mowed, you're probably in jeopardy, but otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause they're not gonna get out and move those signs and then put them back.
No, they're not gonna hop out.
The highway department.
Hopefully, there's not a lot of mowing before election day. And
That's
then
true.
It depends on the weather and when they get out there and actually do that mowing, but.
That's what Maine's
Yeah,
strength
it's,
is.
We don't have any requirements, our ordinance, as far as that goes. I'll ask Ben if there's an ordinance for him on putting them in the right of way. I mean, technically, I think by state law, you're not supposed to put them in right of way or on public property, like out here in the courthouse square
Right.
or
Right,
on whatever. But I don't know who has the actual authority to remove them from there.
Now, I know if you put them in NDOT right away.
You can be
They
fined.
will get moved.
yeah.
And you can get fined, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as, along Old 427, you got all that right away, and there's signs always in there.
Yeah.
and out the triangle by 11A, there's signs in there. So it's,
What I'm hearing is it's not generally okay, but it's not really enforced.
not enforced, and it's,
Okay. What about outside of or in the county, but outside of the municipalities where the owner technically owns to the middle of the road and there is no right of way? What about that scenario?
There are no situations like
There's
that.
there's still right of way, even though you pay tax to the middle of the road.
Yeah.
You don't pay tax to
You
the.
don't
Or,
pay-
well, you own your property goes
Yeah.
to the middle of the road, right?
yeah. that
There,
right
well,
of way
there's,
is
for meets and
exempt
bounds,
taxes.
there are, for meets and bounds descriptions. When property is platted, they dedicate property to the county, so you don't go to the center of the road.
Oh, okay.
But there are properties that aren't platted, that are just go
Right.
to the center of the road. I think your farm goes to the center of the road. There's property that,
There's a lot of
a
them.
lot of properties like that. So, but the county has the ability to maintain over that. I would think they call it like an apparent right of way or something,
think that's
where
the
it's
term
like 20 feet on either side from middle of the road. The county has the authority to maintain that. But again, it's just not, I don't believe any of that gets enforced through the highway department. When people call our office, I try to tell them, we do tell them, try not to put them in the right of way. Try to put them on people's private property, but we don't have any setback regulations. They have to be 10 feet off the property line or 5 feet. But
I think
typically, you want to keep them out of right of way, because if people do mow or something needs to get done, you're losing a sign that costs
It's
$10.
It's a common sense thing.
I think too, is the key is just to not put one up that is 20 foot wide and is blocking the view on a corner or
And
something
and
around a
that's,
corner.
that's the thing. That's,
You know, be
you can't
courteous, I
put
think is
a
the thing.
banner at an intersection that's going to block
Yeah,
side
safety.
of line. And that's,
What about from just a general standpoint of, the reason I'm asking is I got called by some people in my area who were upset because they're having people's signs put on their property that they don't support. And they said, am I allowed to pull this? And I said, I should ask that question. Is it
Absolutely.
right of way? Is it this? Is it that? But
Yeah, nobody should be putting signs out.
It's still their
unless they
property, even
have
if it's
permission.
right away.
yeah, and that's what I kind of thought. It's like, okay, so say I'm a farmer and I own this section of field. And someone puts a sign for someone that farmer does not support. Is that okay or not?
No, it's not okay. He still owns the land. Even though it's in right away, he still owns the land and controls what goes there.
It's happening on the east side, and being nice about it, I know that we are keeping track of everyone who's putting signs out for us. They've called us, they've said we want signs, so we're keeping it on a spreadsheet. But I would suggest that anyone running currently that is having signs put up out there, get a hold of their folks and ask them to not do that. Because the people are worried about pulling it, afraid they'll get in trouble. But at the same time, they don't support the person, so they don't want them on their property.
they won't get in trouble unless they're pulling an approved sign.
Right.
It's illegal to pull a sign that somebody else has approved on somebody else's property.
Right. So that's
their own
another
property.
question I wanted to ask
Yeah.
was, is it illegal to do that? Because
Yeah.
I already know that some of my signs are missing. And don't get me wrong, could be the wind.
I took them.
We've looked for them. Dang it, Susan, come on. No, I just,
All right, 10
it's
years.
good. It's good to get it out there, just to make
to you
sure
after
everybody
this.
is aware that it really is illegal to pick up campaign signs and take them.
Well, it's private property.
Those are protected by state law.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're stealing
really are.
private property.
Well-
My third question is, I don't know these questions. Can I put, so obviously, what do you do with government buildings? Are you allowed to put those on government buildings? Like, could I put one in a government building or a county-owned buildings area? Can anyone? That's,
No,
okay,
you cannot campaign in the county-owned building.
okay.
In any
That's
shape, way.
electioneering.
That's what I kind of figured. It was frowned upon or not allowed because, I mean, it's county. You can't be supporting
No
one way or the
buttons,
other.
no buttons, no nothing.
If we do see this, so in the question, or another question, who do we report this to? Do you report it to the election board? Do you,
I think so.
I mean, we have,
think
the
election-
proliferation of people with cameras. If
I
they
think
catch
you-
someone taking a sign out of their lawn, maybe reach out to that person, but then also election
Well,
board. I'm just making sure.
If somebody's taking signs out of spot, I would report that to the sheriff. I think.
Okay.
I mean, that's different than having a sign in the wrong place.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and I don't know what you're, talking about or who you're talking about, but I've got a number of people putting out signs. I will make sure that they're not putting signs where they don't belong.
And that's perfect. I mean, everyone who's campaigning should just check with their people that are taking signs. Hey, don't put this on someone else's property. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because I wanted to know the rules when a farmer calls me and says, hey, I don't support this person, but they're putting a sign on my, and it's probably not the person campaigning. I mean, it's probably a follower who just didn't realize. So I'm hoping that's the only
sometimes
scenario.
the addresses get a little confusing or the directions and so forth. But,
Right. Yep. Just want to make sure
Karen
before
Karen probably knows.
and I can go ask her
Karen
just to make
Bishop?
sure.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to tell someone the wrong thing to do
I
and have them
think
get in
there's a
trouble.
little pamphlet somewhere.
So,
Any sign that is on your property that you didn't approve, you can pick up and throw in the trash.
yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if you've approved it.
I appreciate it. That's all.
Do it.
Lita,
Thank you.
you're up. Sorry, Lita.
Okay, this has to do with, I think you've received a copy of it. I was approached by Mary Hollowball Deal. She's working on getting cemeteries put on a registry. And she's working with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. And she come to me about the Sunny Meadows Memorial Gardens one. And so according to her, you have to send them something so they decide whether they want to even entertain an application from you. We passed that first part. Now we have the application. And she's gotten it filled out. We just need, as the owners of the property, which is the commissioner, sign that. We'll submit that. If we are approved, then we are able to purchase the sign. The sign's $170, which I know we can get donations to get, but it would put that on the national registry. And I think it would be a very awesome thing to have that addition to that cemetery.
What is the benefit for the National Registry at the county level?
Just being recognized in that it's, it's a historical and, to have it on, so recognize. Some people go around and that's what they want to look at is, national or historical. And so she's working on several of the older cemeteries in the county and come across this one.
What restrictions would that put on?
No restrictions. I asked her what that would do to us for anything. And there's nothing. It's just giving us, just getting us so we can put the sign up.
I would think that there are some restrictions just by virtue of having a cemetery on your land. You're not allowed to disc it up.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Right.
plant crops on it or something, or house cattle on it or something,
Right.
obviously.
Is ours, the fact that ours doesn't really have any headstones, doesn't disqualify it or anything?
Well, it does have a stone.
Well, it has one, but I'm saying we have kind of like mass burial out there.
No,
kind of
she has
like-
been out, and, she wouldn't have even suggested this if that was the case.
Yeah.
You can be pretty sure that Mary researched it very thoroughly.
She did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And
You
she
said
wouldn't have even submitted it if there was any question in her mind. And sometimes they need a survey. They're not requiring a survey. All she submitted was the actual program that we passed out at the dedication. Enough for them. It had enough information on it.
The sign was
$170.
How large is the plot out there that might be the,
It's 130 by 150. I think it's 130 north and south and 150 east.
and it's on the curtilage around the house, like it's on the grassy area around the house, not in a field?
No,
or
it's
anything?
out
Across the
by
street.
itself.
across the street.
Oh, okay.
it's west of the farm buildings.
Okay.
On the same side of the street.
Oh,
It's
wow.
across.
That's within that, is it within the fence?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a
wow.
little fenced area there that we
Nice.
put the
Okay.
fence up around.
Wow.
Prior to the fence, it was just there and kind
It
of being
was
farmed
just,
around.
it was
and-
just, they,
It could be lost prior to the fence.
it,
Yeah,
well, I
potentially
think it
someday.
had been lost.
It's nice it's found.
Need to put a lot of work into that.
I don't think there's any problem. I don't know if we need any motion on that.
Yeah, because I need you to sign a document.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve Sunny Meadows Memorial Garden Cemetery be submitted for the Historic Register.
I'll second.
A motion is second. Any other additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay.
You want to bring yours? I'm gonna have you sign too.
All right. Anything else, Lita? All set? Okay, real quick, Legato Sewer Project. Attended the meeting over there last week, and what Legato wants to do, of course, part of Legato was DeKalb County, and part of Legato was Noble County. So they want to redo their sewer, they want to go to the mechanical system, get rid of 2 of the 3 ponds. And it's a $3 million project, but they need the county, and of course, Gary Letterman from Noble County was also there. And they just need to pass through the grants. They're going to apply for the Okra, and, we had a discussion. They had several different options on how to redo this sewer to connect to somebody else, a adjoining town or something. They decided they wanted to keep it in-house, which I think is a good idea. They're looking for expansion from Huntertown North eventually. They're maxed out at 600 homes right now with their sewer, and they want to double that to 1,200, with the possibility then to expand beyond that as needed. So that's about all it was about at this point. We'll get more information as that moves forward.
And they're looking for us to be maybe
Yeah, just to pass through, because the grant have to come, just like the St. Joe.
Yeah, right.
Spencerville. Sunny Meadow showers are done. I had an interview Angela and I did with the Star last week, an interview, and he took pictures, so that's, should be in the paper just this week, just a FYI.
That was a really good, we did really well there cost-wise, just.
Yeah,
everyone knows.
120,000, of course, Franklin Enterprise donated the showers, these fixtures, and the plumbing labor.
That was a big deal.
That was a big
That's
deal.
Well appreciated.
And these are handicap showers with the bars and fold-down seat a little bit. So, yeah. Larry?
Well done.
Hey, Larry. How are you? Well.
Yeah.
Roy here with the city electric to answer some questions if you guys had questions. So this is what they're proposing to do
for the generator. You look at the map, so there's a transformer sitting behind the city. So they're gonna come over here to the courthouse, they're gonna, go underneath the road, go underneath that parking lot to go over to there. They're gonna bore underneath there. And then where that red X is there in the courthouse,
Yep.
they're gonna put a, ground mount or.
Basically, what we're gonna do is eliminate the overhead transformer pole. that's
Okay.
Over there, and then we're gonna feed the street lights, that go around all the four squares. Graders going. Flush mount boxes, Larry can mow over it. One will backfeed out of there that we feed for the eyesore, the whole pole here on the east side of the property.
Like that.
Have to charge for materials. Downside to that,
How many weeks?
Oh, my
Comes up
word.
with 82 weeks. I mean, not 81, not 83.
all the parts and these transformer windings come from China, that's how it is. So,
My gosh.
once we order, they might be able, once we do a rush down.
Does that mean our generator wouldn't work until 82
You
weeks?
guys can still do everything that you guys wanna do, we can just get everything plumbed over there.
Oh, I see. Be ready to switch over at that point. I see.
But it still wouldn't be functional until
Right.
that got here.
That's what I'm saying. So we were without a generator for a year and a half,
Yeah.
or a year and 3/4, 82 weeks.
So,
We don't
Got
have one now.
anyway.
I know, but when are we supposed to get our generator is the thing,
May,
of this year?
yeah.
And we're saying 82 weeks, that generator's gonna sit a year that we can't use it? And what does it cost to tie into the old services, even if it's temporarily?
Yeah, Voltol.
The only reason I say that, it'd be foolish to spend 150 grand on a generator and have it sit and rot for a year.
Well, what is that going to do with the warranty?
That's what I'm saying. I like this idea. I think it needs to be put into use though if we buy it.
Here's the thing, we have to order this transformer, give him the, okay, go ahead, and then we can probably find out how far, they can give us a timeline of how far out it would be. But you still told me it was, the best time would be 25 weeks, right? That you've seen?
That's for
Sink it.
Is there any 300 KWs out there that other people would have to?
No, we got A&P one for 25.
And are these transfer switches? Just transformer, just a transformer is what you're looking for. 82 weeks for a transformer. Wow.
Everybody's in the same boat.
And it all comes from China. Good idea.
They're trying to start now, they're going to Italy.
Italy. We don't build those here.
Assembled here.
Really? That amazes me. We developed electric power here and we can't even develop our own transformers. I don't know, guys, we're spending a lot of money. It's gonna sit there and not run for a year and a half. Well, a year after it gets installed. That concerns me.
Yeah, but then what's the price of the generator gonna do if we wait a year to order it?
We've already ordered.
It's
We're
already,
on that.
it's on its, yeah,
It's on its way, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Okay.
It's gonna be set here and set, and I like your idea. I'm just wondering, would it make sense to temporarily hook up to the pole, even if it costs us $5,000 more, whatever, and then do this later? I think this needs done regardless.
Yeah.
But I think we need a
Well,
hook
if we
to,
can, yeah. if
we
can
need
get
to hook up.
If we get a temporary tie-in, I think that's
Well, that would
by
be-
far the better way to
So-
go.
If we can give him the okay to order this, I'll get with Voltal and see if we can do the temporary thing.
yeah.
See if we can get that arranged.
They were talking about drilling in through the existing tunnel. Goes over that.
Yeah. I think we need to do that.
Somebody ought to have a big, long extension cord.
Yeah, can we just go to Home Depot and get a bunch of like 6 gauge and hook them together? You
Yeah, I
know?
can get back, I can get with Larry, I can go, we got an option, we can try to get those and maybe.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
that's not so good.
I always say, don't let the smoke out of the wire, because then the electricity don't work. All right. All right, well, I would like to move forward with this, but I would like to be hooked up temporarily,
Yeah.
you know, with our investment. It'd be foolish to let it sit a year.
Of course, what's the timeline on that generator? And there again, that's going to have a transfer switch. And we waited 6 months up the highway department. We're still waiting. Transfer switch.
That's been ordered. I know the generator itself is supposed to be here in May, and I think shortly after that, the transfer switch is supposed to be here. So it's all going to be here, except for that.
Yeah, ours is a 3-phase power problem out there with, we're
Yeah.
waiting for a 3-phase solution out there in the highway.
This is all single phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
gotta get with Voton and see what we gotta do.
Okay?
But I think we should go ahead and give Troy the okay to.
Yeah, I think so. What,
Get it ordered. Gotta get it ordered.
Phase 277. Yeah, the electric department's
you're right.
the underground. And the reason, and like Larry's asked you guys, if we can MOU with the rig change, there's a gas line right along the grass parking lot here in City Hall. And then they have a big,
Oh, yeah.
No,
Go around it.
yeah.
That wouldn't affect future.
we're not gonna disturb the parking lot, no, nothing, we're just gonna give us.
Where's that gonna be located, where you would need to go roughly? Is it on the map here?
Just
So right there.
the red one, just
Oh, okay.
just ever so lightly.
So that'll never, yeah,
And that's keeping us away from your underground tunnel that you have.
that would make
And
sense.
then these are just your 2 flush mounts, and then we're gonna open dig that, because that's where the old, parts of the grade.
Oh, really?
So saving money on the directional bore costs, we'll just open that, and then Larry said,
Okay. That makes sense.
like I say, the highlighted area, that's just gonna be nice, clean, you guys don't have to
Be a lot better looking
worry.
too.
We just tucked up
Yeah,
there. Fair to work with you, so I understand you guys gotta do what you guys gotta
yeah.
We appreciate that.
do. Back if you guys want, I can go over and ask around.
I think a new one would be better.
That's,
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah, a new Chinese one's better than a rebuilt Chinese one.
The used ones, they do warranty, so like that one, they come here, we had to drain the oil out, they come and fix it and just have.
You serious?
Do we want a motion or we want a consensus?
Well, I'd make a motion that we approve the proposal from Auburn Electric on the generator project pending approval of the MOU from the city.
Now, didn't you say they were working on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the 16,524,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's on the back page, it says 16,763. It's circled.
I saw that too. I wondered.
Oh, yeah, there's two
Why that was
different
different.
numbers there. The one's 16,524 and the other one's 16,763. From us, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion and second on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. There you go.
Thanks for helping us out, Troy, appreciate it.
Yep.
Do you need a signature, anything?
We get the MOU to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it, thank you for your time.
Got my copy.
Wow. Am I reading this right?
Yep.
That 18-foot thick pad? I mean, wow, 2888 versus same scope of work, right?
Supposed to be. I gave each one of them the same specs and everything.
It says here, excavation hauling of concrete on one. The other one says we need to remove bushes. He meant bushes, I'm sure. Bushes, trees. Supply plywood is needed. I mean, that should be minimal.
Yeah.
Something you can handle.
My plan is to take out the bushes in that tree.
Okay.
And they're gonna take care of the, so.
$6,000 difference
Yeah.
on a $3,000 project. That's, okay. We need the pad. This is what we decided to do ourselves because the generator company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe also we will have to do a pad for that transformer to sit on, but we cannot do that until it gets here because they don't know. Well, the size, they said they come in different sizes.
Saying,
and he
yeah.
goes, you don't know what size it's gonna be until it gets here.
Something.
I mean, I don't understand how they can't.
Got to convert it from Chinese, the dimensions.
So.
Could that generator pad be extended to accommodate that transformer? Does it have to be further away than that?
I think it's got, the way we talked outside, it's got to be away from it.
There's a distance they have to be, I know that
Yeah.
for sure. The disconnect does.
So it wouldn't really
transfer.
pay to extend it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that isn't, the transformer switch itself's not that big. I mean,
No.
it's not going to require 10 inches thick and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. It won't be like, it's like that.
A few
pad.
100 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus whatever that.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be something that will come down the road when,
Yeah.
so.
This seems like a no-brainer to me to accept the 2888
Yeah.
proposal from
Just
West
did some
Concrete.
other work for us. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there any designation of what kind of ground preparation is needed underneath the 10 inches of concrete? Like, is it like a road, you have to create a base with sand
You
and
have,
gravel and all
you
of
have to
that?
create a base for it. It's got a base.
And
on it.
that's included in these quotes?
Yeah. Okay. And that was in the specs that I gave them.
Okay, great.
So.
Okay.
Motion?
The motion would be approve Web Concrete for $2,888 for the generator.
I will second that.
A motion and second on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries.
Okay, I got
It is.
just a couple more things. The surveyor has a 2001 Honda Rancher four-wheeler. They haven't used it in 5 years. They want to get rid of it, and they also have an old trailer to get rid of. I do have someone interested in the four-wheeler for $750.
Interested in private people or in the county you mean to sell it as an asset of the county?
Yes. So, I'm just coming to you guys to see if you want, what you want to do with that.
What is it, a 2001 Rancher?
Yeah.
That'd be a 300?
I think it's a 300.
There's requirements for selling assets of the
Yeah,
county.
that's what I'm saying. Probably a 350 Rancher ES.
Been well used, I assume.
I would say, yeah. As they say, rode hard and put away wet type thing. I mean, it probably wasn't babied.
Is this vehicle around here where we could look at it, or is it?
It's sitting down there in the barn where the police cars are.
The only reason I say that, we need to look at it. I think it might be worth, these four-wheelers and three-wheelers, but three-wheelers are a cult thing.
Yeah.
They're bringing crazy money. I think we better at least look at it to make sure we're getting, I have not opposed to selling it for that amount, but I think we
Yeah.
ought to look at it first since we're getting rid of county property, just in case it's worth a little more, you know.
I would have to look, but I don't know that you
Well,
open it up.
if it's less than $1,000 of value, like we did through with the sheriff the other day on that car, I believe it was 1,000, we can just get rid of property. We looked up something for the sheriff, but regardless, this has an unknown value, really. I think it really needs to be assessed before you just sell it, but appreciate you finding someone for it, but
Yeah.
I think we better assess its value a little better first. Get rid of it. It might be a little more valuable than you think. If they haven't used it, might be in better shape. I don't know. I need to see it, I guess. Is the building open on the way when we're done here? Can I go look at it on my way out?
I can take you down there.
Yeah, let's go down there and take a look at it real quick.
Also, I've got 2 mowers out at Sunny Meadows. One of them is junk. The motor's blowed up in, it's just junk.
Needs to go away.
And the other one, I think it is as well. I know the tires are dry rotted on it. When I moved it, there was a puddle of oil underneath of it. I do not know what's wrong with it.
What kind of mower is that one, the one that's questionable?
It is a Dixie chopper. And I don't know what, this has been probably 3 years ago. Angela didn't know for sure, but they said they got an estimate to fix it, and it was too much money to fix it, and so they didn't do anything with it. And I don't know anything about it, so.
Those sit outside or do they sit inside?
Well, they sit in a barn, but it's, yeah. So, we need to do something with them, get rid of them. I mean.
That's something I'd have no problem just getting rid of if it's truly junk, you know, if it's not being.
And like I say, I don't know anything about, I know the one's got a blowed motor in it. I do know that for sure. And the mower deck on it doesn't even have belts on it, and it's
junk.
Yeah.
Bearings will be bad in the deck, everything.
So, I'm just here to see what you guys want me to do with them. Try to find somebody that would give us something for them, or.
Yeah, if you can find somebody to give us, somebody might want to try to fix them up, put a mower in that simplicity.
Simplicity, yeah.
Put a motor in that, and
Yeah, or if someone wants to scrap them for $100 and give us 50, you know, or whatever, you know, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
see if you can find.
I just didn't want to do something.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything for me while I'm here?
Okay, wait, what about, you said the surveyor has a four-wheeler and a trailer?
Yes.
Is it the four-wheeler's trailer? Or a different trailer?
That's what they used it for.
Okay.
It is a little bitty trailer. I mean, it's I wouldn't pull anything with it,
Yeah, yeah.
that type of trailer.
I'll take it. Is it in the barn too?
Yeah.
Let's just take a look, if you don't mind. You and I
Yeah.
run down there.
Yep.
We're gonna be done here shortly, and we'll go take a look at
Yep,
that.
we got one more item.
Yep,
Okay. So we'll
Okay.
come back to those.
yep, we'll come back to those
Got it.
for sure.
Weights and measures, that's a Seraphin company, but they have not got a verification. They balked at honoring the warranty if they ship it and we install it. But they won't send somebody to install it.
That's odd.
So we'd have to go out there to pick it up so they can, I've not gotten verification. I'm going to get with him and get this figured out. What's the deal?
Have they determined what a acceptable bulkhead is?
Just something, it can be, just so it's sealed tight.
Just so it doesn't
have to
necessarily be
doesn't have to be steel.
flammable resistance, it's the vapors they're worried
So
about.
the vapors don't get it through. That's all it's got to
Should
be.
be
So it
easy
could be
enough.
the composite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that should be, so if we install the barrier, they'll install the unit,
Yeah.
but they won't install the barrier for us.
No.
Okay. And then if we don't, but if we have it shipped here, there's no warranty on the unit.
Yeah, it's shipped here and we install it. He was going to check and get back to me and he has not gotten back
I
to
don't
me.
understand why that would cancel the warranty to mount a mechanical unit that isn't, it's
There's
not
no
like running
electrical
three-phase
involved.
power into the van when it has to be hooked up correctly or
All
something.
it's got to do is slid in there and drill some
Bolt it
holes and
down.
bolt it down.
That's weird. I think we need more clarification on that.
Yeah. I'll get
Okay,
back.
so then there was also something said, and I haven't seen anything come through, that they had given us a price with some kind of lid or something that's not gonna fit, and they were going to have to resend us information. Do we have
It's gonna
that?
take, there was something included, doesn't need to be there. He's gonna send us I think a lower quote, actually.
Okay, have you
Yeah.
Is
seen
there anyone
anything?
else local that builds these, or is this, when I say local, maybe within a state or two? No?
It's Jersey or no?
Really?
I think so.
Single source, man.
Yeah.
There might be somebody in the West Coast, but that's.
No,
not-
no, that's
That's not
worse.
gonna help us.
No, don't want that.
No.
East Coast. man.
So I'll get that verified and figured out. Just a question, what was the price on that overhead door for the shop out there? Do you remember? It was 11 by 16.
Where
because
at?
On the end of the pole barn where they're going to set up shop.
Okay.
Or 7.
That's installed, and
I think it was 5.
Like 5,000 something.
is that an insulated door? I mean,
Insulated door, garage opener installed,
Auburn door.
Auburn door.
they do
You
good
got-
work.
You got 2 quotes and they
Yeah, I
both
got
said
2 quotes and
Okay.
we're okay with that.
Bad price, really.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. Well, anybody got anything else?
But yeah, one thing, Michelle, from Community Corrections, I asked what happened if Hamilton pulls out of the Change Academy. She said, unfortunately, that $10,000 will have to be reworked in the budget. We did not plan on them having a new superintendent who would change their participation. Without the 8%, this is still an increase of the Change Schools portion of the budget of $16,400. She said, I will need to reduce several budgeted areas like incentives, hopefully Microsoft licenses if Jack can work that out as he hopes, training, toilet paper, paper towels, and possibly ask DFDC for more drug screening grants. Drug-free, yeah. It's like, what is DF? So that was her response to that.
So we really can't do anything with it today, basically, till that's
Well, if they're
revised.
Well, I don't think she has a choice, like she,
She says they're leaving,
but she has to do.
so that 8% has to be covered by someone else, is what you're saying.
She, in her budget,
The budgets.
I don't,
like it won't go to the other schools, it's, she'll be covering it within her
Yeah, that's
budget.
because those were extra seats, so she'll have to take the seats out and take it back to the.
why couldn't they just reduce the number of seats and take it
That's
clear
what I'm
out?
wondering, why aren't we reducing the number of seats? If we're losing 2 seats, why does another school absorb 2 seats? I don't
I
understand.
don't either.
They're not.
They're not.
she's taken 2 seats out, but then she's got to reallocate the budget.
She got to refigure the budget.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
She's got to take it back to 24 seats instead of 26.
Yeah, okay, that's what we need to see. What is the budget at 24 versus 26?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, so let's see what that budget number is, and then we approve it then, don't we?
Yeah, we'll have to have
It's
it.
her-
The MOU will have to be rewritten.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's her own budget, not, this won't change to the other schools.
that's what I'm saying.
This will stay.
Okay,
just changes hers.
It's just her internal, so like her state grant budget or her juvenile budget, she has a little bit in county general. So like her budget will change and she won't be able to do as many incentives or something. So she will increase that incur that $10,000, not the other
No,
schools.
I'm still not clear. Is the MOU need to be amended before?
I would think you'd have to amend the percentages.
That's
each
what I'm saying.
School would pay possibly. I mean, what you're saying is the 130,000 is going to stay the same amount, whether Hamilton's in there or not.
Correct. The 8% paid by Hamilton, which is $10,000.
I don't know. I have no idea.
what if there's less
Will be
seats, why would
paid
the?
by DeKalb County
Part of
Community
that's fixed
Corrections.
costs. The teacher, some of those expenses are fixed costs regardless of how many seats.
Yeah, the rent, the teacher.
Yeah.
But the
Staff.
percentages paid by each school would change, wouldn't it?
No, that's.
No,
Oh,
See, it seems to me like whatever schools are participating ought to share the burden according to that they put toward. Like, in other words, if DeKalb has 12 seats and Eastern has whatever,
6 and 6.
yeah, then that just redo the percentages and divide it up amongst the schools that want to participate. I don't understand why the budget needs to change. If it costs X amount of dollars to run it, and you have 10 seats and there's 20 available, you pay 50%. The other two pay 25% each, and we're done. I don't know why the 10 grand would have to be absorbed, or it just doesn't make sense to me. I think it needs to be rewritten to where the percentages are paid at the fixed budget.
That's probably.
Yeah. I think it's in
Obviously, it
her,
needs to be redone somehow.
yeah, it's in her court to
For
figure it
sure.
out.
The DOC has some weird stuff.
Yeah,
in
I'm
their
sure.
grants.
Yeah, she'll get it figured out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We can't do it here.
No,
So we just wait and see what she comes back with and go from there.
yeah, that's what we need to do,
Yeah.
throw it in her court and say,
well, I'll tell her that. I don't think she was coming back with anything
Yeah.
because this
Well, not today.
already,
If the MOU has Hamilton.
then there's 8% out of 100% that's missing. That's the part that I don't understand.
Michelle is paying for it out of her budget.
Oh, she's just gonna pay that 8%, so then the other schools are gonna pay the same amount.
but why should she pay for it out of her budget when it's the schools that are using the service? I don't understand. This should just be represented, the percentages should be refigured for the participating schools. The county shouldn't be absorbing that through their budget. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
The schools may have already agreed to pay a certain amount for that year, though. I don't know. You know, like they may have already said,
Right.
hey, we're budgeting 50,000 for DeKalb Central and
I think I'd like to
30
hear
for
from her the
Eastern.
explanation of why that can't be done that way. If it can't, then we'll have to, I say next 2 weeks from now, we approve it one way or the other.
Yeah. It works.
So
Anything
that's a lot
else?
of work, but I just want to do it right.
Anything else?
No, I don't
Anybody
have
got
anything.
Last call? And we are adjourned.
Happy party. You want to run that way, Larry, and check it out real quick?
Yep. I'll run down and grab my jacket.
Probably warmed up a little since this morning. This morning wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was that.